The collision between the dagger and the sword blade made a series of metal collision sounds. Sparks flew, strong winds howled, and the whole sky seemed to be shaking. Her spiritual perception was fixed on the dagger without blinking, and she knew that if she was not careful, the dagger would pierce her body. She felt complicated and a little aggrieved. Gu Yan actually didn't hold back at all? Lin Qingqiu became a little emotional when he thought of this. I wanted to talk to you nicely, but you ended up fighting me with all your might. Thinking of this, boom. She gripped the hilt of the sword tightly, and using the recoil force, she flew towards Gu Yan like an arrow. The power of the latter level instantly emerged. Have you tasted it afterwards? It is worthy of being my Qingqiu. So in this battle, I must secure your position in the warrior alliance. Seeing this, Gu Yan's mouth curled up slightly, and the power of night in his hand condensed again, instantly forming several black light blades, which rushed straight towards Lin Qingqiu. Lin Qingqiu's eyes focused, and his body turned nimbly in the air. Avoiding several light blades at the same time, he swung his sword back and shattered the remaining light blades. Her skills were fully displayed without any hesitation or retreat. But she never used her full strength against Gu Yan, always holding back for fear of hurting Gu Yan. But Gu Yan seemed unaware of her difficulties, and used deadly moves one after another, forcing her to use her full strength at all times. Lin Qingqiu clenched his teeth, feeling angry. Gu Yan, do you really want to do this? BNGBANGBANG. The two continued to fight in the air. Their true energy and the power of the night intertwined to form huge energy vortexes. The battle is tense and fierce, and every subtle movement may determine the key to victory or defeat. Suddenly, Gu Yan seized the opportunity and moved his mind. The dagger found the right moment and stabbed into the same point of the sword repeatedly. Just listen. Snap. The ordinary long sword in Lin Qingqiu's hand shattered into pieces. The fighting paused temporarily. Gu Yan looked at Lin Qingqiu, who no longer had any weapons in his hands, and said calmly and sarcastically, Lin Qingqiu, why don't you use all your strength? If you don't use the spirit blade again you will die. The words fell. Boom. A giant black hand appeared behind Gu Yan, and at the same time, a black sword was pulled out from the void by Gu Yan. Lin Qingqiu was stunned and clenched her fists. Gu Yan's tone didn't sound like a joke. Is what he said true? Why? Gu Yan wants to kill me? Why? There is no one else around now, so Gu Yan doesn't need to act. And Lin Qingqiu put aside the complicated thoughts in his mind. He then calmly looked at Gu Yan in front of him. Something is wrong. Very wrong. Gu Yan must have been bewitched by the power of night. I must first allow the other party to communicate well with her. Thinking of this, she took a deep breath, and all the energy in her body burst to the extreme at this moment. Her pure white eyes emitted a dazzling white light in the night sky. A glowing spiritual blade appeared from Lin Qingqiu's palm. She clenched it and pointed it at Gu Yan, saying slowly, As you wish, Night King, you'd better use all your means. Otherwise you will die here today. Oh, Gu Yan held Huanmi and rushed towards the other party. Lin Qingqiu also picked up a sword. This time the two of them burst out with even stronger strength than before. Boom! A true energy and the power of the night collided violently in the air, bursting out with dazzling light, and the entire sky seemed to be torn apart. Everyone fighting below looked up. The sky was covered with dark clouds, and everyone could only see two afterimages, one black and one white, colliding with each other. Every collision would cause a huge bang, and the aftermath of the force would be transmitted to the lower parts, causing everyone's breathing to become disordered. Hiss! Is this noise Minister Lang and the Night King fighting? Oh my god, Minister Lang can actually fight the Night King on equal terms. It seems that the Night King will be destroyed by us today. Mo Zongxiao was also very shocked. Lin Qingqiu's talent was so terrifying. Fighting the Night King alone, this has never happened before. The other side. Two figures wearing evil ghost masks stepped aside after killing the enemies in front of them. They looked up into the sky anxiously. Brother, will the master be okay? Xiao Bie asked anxiously. Lin Qingqiu seems to be the strongest on the human side. You won't be his opponent in a one-on-one fight, right? It's okay, the adults told us not to help him no matter what happens. Chitu lowered his voice and tried his best to restrain the urge to help. Besides, we are too weak, and we may not be able to help much even if we go there. A battle in the sky became more and more intense. Boom boom boom. Every confrontation between Lin Qingqiu and Gu Yan was as shocking as thunder. The sky was flashing with dazzling light and dark shadows, and the two were intertwined, as if a desperate struggle was going on between heaven and earth. Lin Qingqiu's swordsmanship is sharp, and every strike carries an endless attack that directly attacks the mental power. Gu Yan held the illusion that was flickering in the darkness, like a ghost in the night. TSK, this mental pain is really not pleasant. Qingqiu actually founded an incredible sect. Gu Yan thought to himself. He calculated the time. It was about time. It's time to move on to the next step. So, after using the power of the night to block a sword energy, he stepped aside and said coldly, Ling Qiyu, you are courting death. We will eventually wipe out all evil, and anyone who stands in our way shall die. Buzz, the power of night surrounded him, forming a dark barrier. He held illusion and rushed towards Ling Qiyu. A huge energy containing destructive power and the power of night gathered at the tip of the sword. If it explodes, its power will probably destroy everyone present. There was a gleam in Ling Qinyu's eyes, and all the spiritual power in her body burst out to the extreme at this moment, forming a huge lightsaber, pointing directly at the illusion in Gu Yan's hand. She also suppressed the lightsaber to a level that was just enough to offset the illusion in Gu Yan's hand. However, what Ling Qiyu didn't expect was that the moment Gu Yan approached her, he immediately lowered his body, and his target was actually below. What? Gu Yan's target was actually the group of warriors below. There were his own people below. Ling Qiyu was stunned, and subconsciously reached out to stop Gu Yan. In a flash, bang! She grabbed Gu Yan's arm. Chapter 412. The war is over. Long Qianyuan dies. As for Gu Yan, he chuckled. His goal was about to be achieved. Now he just needed to descend and create the illusion that he wanted to annihilate everyone. Then he deliberately waited for Ling Qiyu to come over. This, Why did my body suddenly become weak? Also, why is the energy ball on the tip of my sword getting smaller and smaller? Gu Yan gradually came back to his senses and looked in a daze. I seem to have lost my power, what? He quickly turned his head and saw Ling Qiyu grabbing his arm. No, will physical contact make me lose all my cultivation? What kind of insane setting is this? Do you think I am writing a comedy novel when you are being serious? Let me go. Gu Yan tried hard to keep his voice cold. No. Ling Qiyu held Gu Yan tightly. She didn't realize that Gu Yan had lost his strength and was relying on her for support. Ling Qiyu, please let me go. Impossible, I won't let you kill so many people down there. You are simply insane. Gu Yan was furious. If he continued to delay like this, it would be daytime and he would not have the tenfold strength bonus by then. By then, he would not be able to escape, and Ling Qiyu would not be able to kill him at this time. Once his identity was exposed, all his efforts would be wasted. At this time, boom! An icy breath and spatial fluctuations surged out. The target was Ling Qiyu. Ling Qiyu grabbed Gu Yan's arm and was about to stop him. But space fluctuations suddenly appeared beside Gu Yan. And a hand stretched out from it and immediately grabbed Gu Yan. And the space began to shrink. If he didn't let go, half of Gu Yan's body would probably be cut off by the space. Helplessly, Ling Qiyu had to let go and let Gu Yan be dragged into the space. She turned her head to look at the person who attacked her. Just see. The other person was dressed in white and wearing a pure white mask. Judging from her temperament, she is somewhat similar to her. Then, buzz! Black holes appear next to each other. Gu Yan followed him out. And next to him stood a timid woman wearing a mask. I'm sorry. Yuxingzu didn't dare to look at Ling Qiyu because she knew that Ling Qiyu was Gu Yan's wife. Ling Qiyu immediately understood who the other person was. He was the talent he recruited when he was still the Night King. But why is he here with Gu Yan now? Ling Qiyu looked at Gu Yan, who had transformed into the Night King, and then looked at the women on both sides of him. Finally, she thought of Gu Yan's previous murderous attack on her. Suddenly, boom! 26 spiritual blades suddenly emerged from behind Ling Qiyu. She looked at the two women on both sides of Gu Yan coldly, and said in a cold voice, "Who are you?" Because the previous operations have disrupted Gu Yan's current plans. Since it is impossible to create the illusion of annihilating everyone, and we can only proceed to plan B, he uttered in a low voice. Let's go. The words fell. Ling Bingning took the lead and grabbing Yuxingzu and hiding in the space. Seeing this scene, Ling Qiyu was so angry that he was shaking all over. Good. You treat me like this, and you treat two strange women like this, right? In that case, then I must teach you a lesson. Leave, can you get away? Ling Qiyu raised his hand coldly. Uchi. Two muffled groans came from the void. Because they were from Gu Yan's side, Ling Qiyu did not kill them at most, he only seriously injured them. The corner of Gu Yan's mouth twitched. It was no use. He had to end this quickly. Thinking of this, he rushed downwards quickly. Seeing this, Ling Qiyu raised his eyebrows and said, "Swish, don't even think about running." Several spirit blades quickly followed. Gu Yan's mind moved. Boom! The clouds opened. Two figures appeared. This movement attracted everyone's attention. Grown-ups. Minister Lang. Everyone looked up. Both sides showed different emotions. Just see. Ling Qiyu's eyes were cold, and dozens of spiritual blades were floating behind him, while several others were chasing the figure in front. On the other hand, the Night King looked very embarrassed. He covered his abdomen and everyone looked at him intently. I saw blood oozing out of Night King's abdomen. He was obviously injured by Ling Qinkyu. Ling Qinkyu frowned. When did Gu Yan get injured? While Gu Yan was covering his abdomen, which was injured by self-harm, a black dagger condensed in his hand. His voice was cold but revealed his unwillingness. What a Ling Qinkyu, you actually broke through to the late stage. But, even if I can't kill you now, doesn't mean I can't take one. The words fell. Gu Yan grasped the dagger, and his whole body was wrapped in the power of night, causing his body to flicker and jump in the darkness. Wherever it passed, countless tiny black needles condensed from the power of the night pierced the warriors. Minister Ling, help me. Minister, save me. Everyone's face turned pale. Ling Qinkyu quickly summoned the spiritual blade to block. She cursed in her heart, this bastard, does he really want to kill these people? Next second. Buzz. When the Night King flashes back again, he had already appeared behind the current leader of the Warrior Alliance, Long Qianyuan. Everyone who saw this scene had their faces changed suddenly. Minister, be careful. Long Qianyuan had just finished a round of fighting with the Shadow Man when he suddenly sensed a dangerous Sora approaching. He subconsciously stretched out his hand to block it. However, buff. A dagger pierced his palm and hindered, and then went all the way through his brain and hindered. Then in the blink of an eye, Long Qianyuan turned into a pool of blood and disappeared from the world. Everyone present was stunned, because it happened so fast. Minister Long. There was no time to mourn Long Qianyuan's death. As the first ray of sunshine rises in the sky, buzz buzz buzz, all members of the Night Organization, who had received the retreat signal long ago, gathered together to teleport into the black hole and quickly disappeared. As for Gu Yan, he played his part well, covering his injured part while sinking into the black hole. Before leaving, he did not forget to taunt Ling Qinkyu. You are indeed very strong. I lost this time, but next time, I will bring you, the Warrior Alliance, a huge surprise. Please look forward to it. Brush. The Night Organization retreated and left. The people of the Warrior Alliance had no time to chase after him, and immediately ran towards the blood that Long Qianyuan had turned into, praying that it was just an illusion. However, the reality is cruel. Long Qianyuan, their alliance leader, is really dead. It also turned into a pool of blood. Ling Qinkyu landed slowly. She looked at the casualties of the warriors and suddenly found out. It seems that except for Long Qianyuan, the others were not dead, but were just injured to varying degrees. She clenched her fists. Gu Yan's harsh words flashed through her mind. Gu Yan, what exactly do you want to do? Besides, what is your relationship with those two vixens? Ling Qinkyu's expression turned cold and full of murderous intent. Everyone around who saw it sighed. Minister Lang must also be feeling sad about Long Qianyuan's death. But Minister Lang was able to seriously injure the Night King. It seems that from now on they all have to rely on Ling Qinkyu. Chapter 413, Anti-Demon Weapon Plan, Searching for a Container. There were strange phenomena in heaven and earth. The concentration and quality of the world's true energy doubled, and warriors from all over the world made breakthroughs one after another. Most of the sects in the ancient martial arts world were slaughtered by the Night Organization, and the minister of the Warrior Alliance, Long Qianyuan, died in battle. This night will eventually be remembered by the world, and a new era has officially arrived. Light of Hope. Rush. A space vortex appeared, and the figures of Gu Yan and others walked out. Sir, you. Chitu and Xiaobiei supported Gu Yan and were about to ask about his injuries. But suddenly he discovered that his master's injuries had recovered without him noticing. Chitu Xiaobiei. Gu Yan held their heads and rubbed them hard. It's no big deal, you two go and have a rest. Yes. Chitu and Xiaobiei breathed a sigh of relief. As expected of an adult. Even after being injured by Ling Qinkyu, the strongest human being, he recovered from his injuries in just a few seconds. When people leave. Buzz. Another vortex appeared. Two figures walked out, supporting each other. Lang Bingning took off the mask helplessly. A trace of blood slid down the corner of her mouth. She looked at Gu Yan, who was fine, and said, "You what went wrong at that time?" The sister-in-law was speechless. According to the original plan, Gu Yan and Ling Qinkyu would have a symbolic fight and then proceed to the next step. But the result after Ling Qinkyu grabbed Gu Yan's arm, he actually gave up resisting. If they hadn't taken action, would Gu Yan have been caught by Ling Qinkyu and his identity exposed? What is this operation? Of course, why did Ling Qinkyu only seriously injure them in the end but not kill them? As for Gu Yan, it would have been fine if he hadn't mentioned this. But as soon as he mentioned this, he felt powerless inside. and he knew why. But he couldn't say it, so he could only sigh ambiguously. Because King Qiui's hands are too smooth and tender. I can't bear to let go. Ling Bing Ning. Yu Xingzu. So the world is reached with only the two of them being hurt? But never mind, being beaten by your own sister is better than being beaten by someone else. Thinking of this, Ling Bingning circulated her true energy to recover from her injuries. At the same time, she looked at Gu Yan and said, although something went wrong, you at least killed the enemy leader, Long Tianyuan. In the end, by doing this, Ling Qingqiu can indirectly become the leader of the alliance. After all, on the battlefield of the ancient martial arts world, Ling Qingqiu's strength in forcing back the Night King was obvious to all. Now that Long Tianyuan is dead, it is not surprising that Ling Qingqiu has become the backbone of the group. However, Gu Yan shook his head, his eyes revealed a hint of inexplicable meaning. For warriors, Ling Qingqiu has indeed become a god in everyone's mind. But don't forget what this world lacks the most. Only after resolving the hidden dangers behind it can Ling Qingqiu completely become the hope of mankind. After the merger of the warrior alliance, the actual people in power behind it are actually the world's top families. Who will be the leader is decided by discussion within the family. Besides, the enemies of the Ling family in the ancient martial arts world were wiped out. But in the secular world, there is still a group of them left. These people are the key players in deciding who will be the leader of the warrior alliance. Gu Yan also guessed that some old monsters who had lived for a long time should be very anxious at this moment. After all, the Night King becoming so powerful was beyond their expectations. If they want eternal life in a short period of time, it seems they have to find another way. When Gu Yan thought of this, his eyes turned slightly cold. After a night of devouring the ancient martial arts world, Gu Yan also learned the hidden root of the past from his fragmentary memories. It turns out that it started from ancient times. The gods intervened in this fragmented world. They bestowed a trace of divine power on countless believers, and told them that if they could kill the Night King, then the killer would gain eternal life. Thus, an unwritten rule circulated among this group of believers. That is, everyone is assigned the quota to kill the Night King, and whenever the Night King appears, they will gather all the forces to go out in full force. Finally, let the person with the quota kill the Night King and gain the power of immortality. Because of the help of the power of gods, every time the Night King fails to grow up, he will be killed together. Those who kill can gain eternal life. Those who cannot wait for the Night King's spot will have murderous intentions. They will choose to recruit others to cooperate and kill all the other believers in order to get a spot. It has always been like this from ancient times to the present. This was also the reason why the Ling family was destroyed. The assassination of the Nether King by the Nether clan was actually because the 4 sacred beasts were bewitched by the power of the gods. And they took the initiative to find the Night King and attack the Nether King. After killing the king of the Netherworld and destroying the Netherworld clan, they then used divine power to kill the Night King, and killed each sacred beast once, thus achieving eternal life. But they didn't expect that every time they killed the Night King, his strength would become stronger than before. Although the increase was small, it was indeed increasing. So they are afraid that they will be retaliated by the Night King sooner or later. And that is why they have been trying to find an heir to completely destroy the Night King. And now, if Gu Yan guessed correctly, there shouldn't be many people who know that they can gain eternal life by destroying the Night King. But they won't be too few either. Even if there are, they are probably concentrated in the hands of family members behind the scenes. Once they find out that the Night King is not someone they can kill, then some people whose time is up will initiate another plan. That is, anti-demon weapon plan. This plan is ostensibly intended to fight against demons and the Night King. In fact, it is used for the experiment of immortality. All the people who participated in this experiment were deceived. They were just victims of the people behind the scenes in order to achieve immortality. In the original novel, the most perfect anti-demon weapon is Lin Yin Yin. After 100 years of debugging and observation, Lin Yin Yin's physical data is intact. According to the plot of the original novel, Lin Yin Yin is actually a container favored by a certain being. But in the end, before the reincarnation experiment could begin, the plan for the anti-demon weapon was shattered by the protagonists. On the surface, Minister Long Tianyuan was pushed forward as a shield. But who was actually in charge? Even the original book did not mention it. After all, it ended badly. Having said that, Gu Yan also seemed to understand why this life was presented as the world of a badly ended novel. Because it was the uncertainty of the ending that gave him a glimmer of hope. Thinking of this, the corners of Gu Yan's mouth curled up slightly, and Lin Yin Yin's secret chess move could be started. The secular world. In a dim secret room, a chilly atmosphere permeated the air. In the center of the room, there was an ancient and ferocious statue of a sheep's head. Its eyes seemed to be flashing strangely in the darkness. 3 old men in wheelchairs were closing their eyes and praying softly to the sheephead statue. Their faces are covered with wrinkles, as if they have experienced countless years of baptism. But beneath their old appearance, they still hide unfathomable power. "Oh my God, please grant us the power to kill the Night King," one of the old men whispered, his voice hoarse and gloomy. "The Night King is very powerful, we have no way to stop him." The other old man continued, a hint of anxiety in his voice. "No matter what the cost, as long as I can live forever, we are willing to sacrifice." The third old man was breathing weakly, and seemed to be on his last legs. The air in the secret room seemed to stagnate for a moment, and then a dark crack slowly opened on the ground in front of the statue. The cold wind howled out from the cracks, bringing with it endless darkness and coldness. The three of them were delighted, only to see that the sheep's head actually slowly opened its mouth and spoke in human language. "I will grant you the power of death. The price is to find a suitable container for me." Boom! As Yang Tiaoyu finished speaking, an endless sense of vitality suddenly emerged from the three of them. At the same time, their auras rose, and the three of them broke through to the level of grandmasters in an instant. Their lifespans were increased by another 500 years. Feeling this, the three of them quickly stood up from their wheelchairs and lay on the ground. "Thank you, sir. He will definitely find a vessel suitable for you to descend to the heavens." The three of them crawled on the ground, and even though the strange aura had disappeared, they did not dare to get up. If there was someone here who knew them, it would definitely scream out in shock. Because any one of these three people is a terrifying existence that can make the world tremble. After a long time, the three stood up. "It's time to start the anti-demon weapon project. It's not to explore eternal life, but to find a suitable container for you, my lord." "How about Lin Yin Yin? It was made 100 years ago and was originally used as a container for us. But if you need it, no rush, let's do a new round of experiments first. If we can't make a better container than Lin Yin Yin, then it won't be too late to move her." "Aha, that loser Lan Yunyuan is actually dead. But it doesn't matter, we have as many puppets like him as we want." "Oh, that's right, all the families in the world are just stepping stones for us to realize our wish of eternal life. I will immediately arrange for Lan Yunyuan's funeral, and then announce the new leader of the alliance." No, you forgot one thing, Ling Qingqiu is very famous and has great prestige in the alliance." She is just an orphan of a ruined family. If she can be of use to us, and keep her, if not then kill her." "Aha, that's the arrangement. After the funeral, I'll send someone to invite her over. I hope she'll be sensible." Chapter 414 Ling Qingqiu I am really angry. 3 days later, Long Tianyuan's funeral began. The funeral was broadcast live across the league. The funeral site was filled with a solemn and sad atmosphere, and the gray sky seemed to be mourning the departure of this legendary figure. The crowd gathered in front of a solemn tombstone, and white flowers swayed gently in the wind, expressing endless grief. Inside the mourning hall, Long Tianyuan's family members and alliance members were dressed in plain clothes and looked sad. They all bowed their heads in silence, remembering Long Tianyuan's bravery during his lifetime. Ling Qingqiu stood at the door of the mourning hall, with a cold expression and a hint of anger between his brows. 3 days have passed and no one knows where Guyan has gone. "Are you making out with the vixen right now?" "Hey fool. But it shouldn't be the case. If that were the case, I should be able to sense it." Maybe it was because she had been intimate with Guyan for a long time, but she could feel his joy, anger, sorrow and happiness from a distance. So she was sure that Guyan still only loved her. Most of the sects in the ancient martial arts world were invaded by the Night Organization, so they all moved to the Alliance position and joined the Alliance. Mo Chongshao and other Taichu sect disciples also followed the local customs, wearing plain clothes and standing among the crowd. His expression was equally serious in the past. He had often dealt with Long Yuanyuan and was well aware of his importance to the entire alliance. Now, the alliance has lost this pillar, and he feels extremely sad. But he looked again at a certain cold figure standing in the front with a silent expression. The human race still has the strongman Ling Qingqiu, and the alliance will not lose to the Night King. Ling Linger stood in the crowd with a sad expression. Although she and Long Tianyuan were not very familiar with each other, the person was dead after all, so she did feel a little sad. The Night King is indeed an extremely evil villain. For some reason, she felt a sense of destiny in her heart. "Night King, I will definitely defeat you and protect world peace. And my brother-in-law and sister will definitely praise me then." The funeral was over soon. On this day, people across the league felt a sense of panic and sadness. Sad Long Yuanyuan died. Panic, what should they do next? But soon, different voices were heard. They believed that even if Long Yuanyuan died, they still had Ling Qingqiu, the head of the sword department. As long as Ling Qingqiu is here, they still have hope. In addition, all the members who went on the expedition only suffered minor injuries and no one died. So the team's strength is still relatively strong and sufficient. As long as Lang Qingqiu leads them, they will definitely defeat the Night King. As a result, more and more voices called for Lang Qingqiu to become the leader of the alliance. And at this moment, in the sword department office where the funeral process for the day was completed, Lang Qingqiu was gritting her teeth, tightly holding the only communication phone that Gu Yan had given her. But the result? Oops, sorry Qingqiu, I'm busy, please wait for me to call you back later. Oops, sorry Qingqiu, I'm busy, please wait for me to call you back later. Oops, sorry Qingqiu, I'm busy, please wait for me to call you back later. All that came from the other end of the phone was a series of annoying voice messages that Gu Yan had recorded himself. I am so mad. Lang Qingqiu put down his phone and took a deep breath. Her face was cold, and her mind kept flashing back to how cold Gu Yan was towards her after he turned into the Night King, and how he was full of love and concern for the two strange women as she thought. Hateful. He is having an affair. Linger is right. Once a man has power, he will forget all his relatives. Not to mention that I haven't married Gu Yan yet, we are just boyfriend and girlfriend. Lang Qingqiu became angrier the more he thought about it. And his whole body began to tremble. It's hard. The fist is hard. If Gu Yan doesn't give her a reasonable explanation this time, then she will definitely not forgive him. This time, no matter what she said, she couldn't be coaxed into submission. And at this time, dong dong. Sir, there is a person from the Alliance who calls himself the Spirit Organization and wants to see you. Changguan Maiyan's voice came from outside the house. Spirit Organization. Lang Qingqiu was angry, she said coldly. Come in. Click. The door opened. A man with a smile on his face and a haughty demeanor walked in. Following behind him was a Mediterranean man with a fawning expression. It was the Deputy Minister of the Union. The arrogant man walked straight to Lang Qingqiu. His tone full of arrogance. Lang Qingqiu, I heard that you have achieved a breakthrough to become a Grand Master. Very good, outstanding talents like you are exactly what the adults need. Now, our master wants to meet you. If you come with me, you will get everything you want and even become the new leader of the alliance. In fact, the news he received was that Lang Qingqiu broke through the Grand Master level and entered a new realm called Post-Grand level. But, these are definitely all rumors. After all, even I am only a Grand Master. No matter how strong Lang Qingqiu is, he is at most at the same level as Long Yanyuan. Hearing this, Changguan Maiyan's expression had begun to look strange. She looked at the man dangerously. Lang Qingqiu looked at him and said coldly, get lost. Then, she looked at Changguan Maiyan and said coldly, why are all these psychopaths allowed into the department? Changguan Maiyan lowered her head and said, I'm sorry. Minister, I will ask these two psychopaths to leave immediately. As soon as these words came out, the arrogant man's expression froze. He looked at the deputy minister beside him and said, you didn't tell her in advance? The deputy minister wiped his sweat. But Minister Lang Zora, how could he dare to talk to her alone? So the deputy minister comforted her by saying that he would do it himself. And looked at Lang Qingqiu and said kindly, Xiaolang. Xiaolang, what Xiaolang? Did you call Xiaolang? Who are you? Lang Qingqiu spoke in a cold voice. And his sharp aura made the deputy minister break out in a cold sweat. He said awkwardly, I am the deputy minister of the alliance. I was the one who sat closest to the minister during the previous meeting. Lang Qingqiu just remembered. She glanced at the arrogant man calmly, then looked at the deputy minister and said slowly, so you like to recruit some psychopaths? The deputy minister's face froze. The arrogant man couldn't help but clench his fists. His voice was filled with anger. Lang Qingqiu, don't think you are so great just because you are the head of the sword department. I'm telling you, the real master of the alliance is not the leader of the alliance. It's the masters behind me. Now the master wants to win you over and give you the opportunity. Don't be ungrateful. The deputy minister also echoed at this time. Minister Lang, please go and don't embarrass me. Hearing this, the arrogant man looked at the deputy minister beside him with disdain. You useless thing, you actually still need to look at her face. Well, a deputy minister lowered his head. How could he not look at such a powerful person? That's enough. Lang Qingqiu felt a headache from the noise. She stood up with a cold expression. She was already upset because of Gu Yan's matter. At this moment, she was in a state of rage. She looked at the arrogant man coldly. I'll give you a moment. If you don't get out of here, you will bear the consequences. As soon as these words came out, the arrogant man was immediately amused. Oh, I don't think you dare. Do you know who is behind me? I'm telling you, I've seen a lot of people like you. Wait till you see the adults. Lang Qingqiu was too lazy to say any more nonsense. And she had an idea. The spiritual silver needle pierced the opponent's brain nerves in an instant. Puff, as the brain nerves twitched, the sound stopped abruptly. Are you who? The man suddenly found that he seemed unable to speak. Unplop. He fell directly to the ground, his body began to twitch, and his limbs became uncontrollable. Judging from the situation, it's a bit like a stroke paralysis. Look how they change. The man was wriggling on the ground. His eyes were crooked, his mouth was slurred, and his speech was slurred, with an incredible look in his eyes. He came here on orders from his master. But this woman actually dared to attack him. She doesn't want to die? The deputy minister's face suddenly changed, and he looked at Lang Qiyu with tears in his eyes. Minister Lang, you are making things difficult for me. Lang Qiyu was too lazy to pay any more attention to them, and waved his hand irritably. Take them away. Yes, sir. Chang Guanmaiyan immediately stepped forward and dragged the stroke-stricken man on the ground outside. Hey, move your body, deputy minister. Miss Shangwan. Hey, you guys, hey. Snap. A few people left and the farce ended. Lang Qiyu then sat down helplessly. She rubbed her eyebrows. No, she was still angry. What on earth was Guyan doing? She decided that no matter what Guyan said, she would never forgive him. No, I can't possibly ask the other party who those two women are. After all, that would just be me confessing myself. Damn it. How about just sulking and letting Guyan guess? At this time, ding ling ling. Lang Qiyu. The cell phone on the table suddenly rang. And the ringtone is Guyan's exclusive ringtone. This is Guyan calling back? Lang Qiyu raised his eyebrows and looked around to see if there was anyone around. Only then did he answer the phone reluctantly. I want to hear what explanation you have to give. Chapter 415. Do not disturb. Angry Lang Qiyu. Ein passes by every second. The temperature around the sword department building was dropping lower and lower. The sword bearers gathered together and trembled. What's going on? It's almost evening now. Why is the minister still angry? Yeah, who provoked our minister Lang? I heard about it. It seems that the deputy minister of the union brought a psychopath with him. So he annoyed our Lang department. Damn it, this damned guy must have come to our minister to use his connections to get someone in. And that's why he angered our fair and selfless minister. That's right, this guy should die as a token of his guilt. It's a little different from what everyone imagined. In the office of the sword minister, Lang Qiyu stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window of the building. She had her hands behind her back, and a cell phone that she had torn into pieces fell to the ground. She has been keeping this posture for almost a day. Lang Qiyu's expression revealed a hint of grievance in his indifference, a hint of disbelief in his grievance, and a hint of deep self-doubt in his disbelief. During the day, Guyan called her back. Yes, when she thought Guyan was going to say something sweet to make her happy. What I got was a sentence. I'm a bit busy recently, so I won't go back. Please don't disturb me. He doesn't have anything to explain? Although on the surface he doesn't know that I know his identity. But at least he is trying to cover it up and isn't willing to coax me like before? Lang Qiyu clenched her fists and bit her lips. Guyan, you bastard. You'd better die outside and don't come back. Busy. You are just out there with those two wild women busy with your Night King plan. There is also the woman named Woyo in Light of Hope. Linger said that she is still charming and looks like a real wife. I guess it has something to do with you. And Lin Yin. This legal lowly with a baby face who has lived for 100 years. Also likes you very much. I guess it has something to do with you. Besides, Mei Zhu, my predecessor's most trusted subordinate, was also abducted by you. It seems that you have something to do with it. Finally, Linger's good friend B.E. Quanlan. It is said that you saved her in the Kate Evie private room before. And she even called you very intimately. It must have something to do with you. But good. By this calculation, there are already 6 women who have relationships with you on the surface. Lang Qiyu was shivering with anger. Guyan had already unknowingly discovered that there were already so many vixens out there. Thinking of this, boom! Lang Qiyu rushed out of the window angrily and flew high into the sky in an instant. Brush. She used her spiritual power to draw brilliant streaks of light in the air. The wind whistled in her ears, and the blade of her spirits lashed wildly in the sky. Beams of light shot out from her fingertips, piercing through the clouds as if to tear the entire sky apart. Guyan, you bastard! She roared, her voice echoing high in the sky. The key beams dispersed in the air and turned into countless light arrows, which quickly shot out in all directions, hitting the surrounding clouds and causing bursts of roaring sonic booms. Lang Qiyu's figure kept flashing in the air, and her speed was so fast that it was difficult to grasp. She was like a meteor, quickly crossing the sky, and the true energy continued to condense in her palms. She raised her hands and a ball of blazing light formed above her head, gradually expanding as she focused her attention. Boom! The huge ball of light suddenly exploded, and the blazing energy wave rushed out, instantly tearing apart the surrounding clouds. Snort! Lang Qiyu's mood gradually calmed down with this blow. but the grievance in her heart did not diminish in the slightest. I really want to question Gu Yan, but even if he released all his mental senses, he still couldn't sense Gu Yan's location. The other party must have concealed his aura and hid himself. Don't you want to see me? But even if she saw it, what should she say? If the story was true, she would never have killed Gu Yan or those vixens. I have really become so weak. Ling Qingqiu clenched his fists. Doing this, he felt like a clown with no place to vent his anger. She floated back into the building with a lost look on her face. Countless Zhang citizens looked up in horror at the strange sight in the sky. I saw that the dark clouds in the sky seemed to be torn apart, becoming messy and fragmented. If you look closely, you can even see cracks appearing in the sky. Everyone speculated. Could this be a sign of a monster invasion? Returned to the office in the sword department building. Ling Qingqiu looked lonely. Did Guyan really have someone outside? At this time, click. Sister, are you okay? Lang Linger slipped in quietly. She looked at Ling Qingqiu, who was standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window with his fists clenched and looking very angry, and muttered to herself, "It must be my brother-in-law who has annoyed me again." Thinking of this, she glanced at the cell phone that belonged to Ling Qingqiu and had been broken into pieces on the ground. Her expression fell. "Oh brother-in-law, you're done. I'm really angry this time. Linger, don't mention your brother-in-law. That bastard, to me again." Ling Qingqiu heard the noise, turned his head, and spoke in an extremely lowly tone. "Oh, and there's Linger. She had read a banned book called, As a Sister, I Like XXXXXX, which is rated R18. The other party is also a suspect. Now, there are 7. Yes. 8 full. Have I become a clown?" Ling Qingqiu covered his forehead with his hands, and the feeling of grievance that he couldn't suppress surged out. Lang Linger's mouth twitched. She didn't mention her brother-in-law. Can't I just talk about it in my heart? Thinking of this, she hurried over to Ling Qingqiu, hugged her arm, and consoled her. "Sister, what's wrong with you? Is it because of the matter with Zany Yugu?" Snort. Ling Qingqiu snorted coldly. "Don't mention him again. Your brother-in-law already has another woman outside." "Another woman?" Lang Linger was stunned for a moment, then shook her head with a smile on her face to deny. "Absolutely impossible." Hearing this, Ling Qingqiu turned his head suspiciously and looked at Lang Linger. His spiritual eyes were activated, and all eyes would be exposed under these eyes. "Absolutely impossible? What do you mean?" Hearing this, Lang Linger pointed at herself confidently and said, "That's because my NIU radar didn't react." "Bull radar?" "Yeah, when you are about to be cheated on or are in love with your brother-in-law, the NIU radar will respond passively, but since your brother-in-law and you were intimate that day, the NIU radar has not sounded." "Oh, that's not right." Linger was telling the truth. So what kind of heaven-defying setting is this? Although Ling Qingqiu felt that this NIU radar was ridiculous, apart from being sad about Gu Yan's indifferent treatment, she did not have any other special reaction. Could it be that Gu Yan really has something going on recently and that's why he can't come back? If something happened, what could it be? What is this guy trying to do again? Ling Qingqiu was thinking in his heart. Linger at the side also comforted her. "Sister, don't let your imagination run wild. I'm telling you, brother-in-law definitely only loves you. I can see that brother-in-law is an old pure lover." "Oh, let's not talk about your brother-in-law for now. What is your bull radar? Which book did you read it from?" "Linger, what on earth are you thinking about every day?" Ling Linger's expression froze as the topic shifted to herself. "Damn brother-in-law, this is all your fault. Now it's my turn to be scolded." Ancient martial arts world. Gu Yan was floating high in the sky, and dark clouds covered the sky. Around him, there were faint spatial fluctuations. Brush. Ling Bingning, who had recovered from her illness, appeared behind Gu Yan. In her palm, there was a small golden bead. She said calmly, "There are still a dozen dragon spirits with Linger, and the rest are here." Gu Yan nodded slightly, and a tentacle extended over to take the bead. Seeing this, Ling Bingning frowned and talked about serious matters. "Also, Qingqiu is very angry. Is it really okay for you to say that to her? Why don't you try to comfort her?" As soon as these words came out, Gu Yan then turned his head to look at Ling Bingning. His expression did not change at all, and his tone was calm. "It's natural to be angry after all. I said that on purpose." "You?" Ling Bingning was about to say something when she noticed something a little unusual about Gu Yan. She flew forward, activated the Bing Xianju and immediately checked Gu Yan's situation. Bing Xianju can detect a person's emotional state, thereby determining whether the other person is suitable for practicing Bing Xianju. And at this moment what she sensed from Gu Yan actually showed that he was extremely suitable for Bing Xianju. Even she had never had such a degree of adaptability. This situation can only mean one thing. That is, Lang Bingning's face darkened. And her tone was somewhat incredible. You have lost your emotions? Why is this happening? Chapter 416, Gu Yan loses his emotions and becomes blind. Gu Yan first let his claws absorb the remaining dragon energy. And then he swept it towards Lang Bingning calmly. He spread out his palms. And a pure force of night, mixed with the power of forbidden land, emerged in his palms. In order to unleash the full power of the night, it is only natural to lose your emotions. But it's nothing serious. I just no longer have sadness, anger, joy, and other emotions. There will be no obstacles to subsequent plans. Gu Yan's tone was flat, as if he was just describing an insignificant matter. According to the plan, losing one's emotions is an inevitable part. It's just a matter of time, so instead of leaving it to the end, it's better to lose your emotions now and gain the complete power of the night. At this time, Bush Zidian also flew out from in front of Gu Yan, letting out a jeerful laugh, and flew in front of Lang Bingning. Little girl, don't bother this guy. For this plan, he paid a price you can hardly imagine. And the price? Lang Bingning frowned. She already knew about the cult, and she was deeply touched by the fact that Gu Yan treated her as a relative. But although he was touched, Gu Yan was gradually moving towards another extreme by doing this for the sake of his plan. She looked at Gu Yan, and immediately discovered another different place. Lang Bingning flew forward, stretched out her hand, waved it in front of Gu Yan, and suddenly was stunned. She asked in disbelief, "Your eyes? Are you blind?" That's right. Unlike before, Gu Yan's eyes had lost their luster, and it was different from ordinary blindness. Gu Yan's pupils actually appeared to be inky black with disordered lines. What is going on? Blindness is just a small price to pay. As long as the plan can be completed, all the sacrifices are worth it. On the contrary, I feel very good now. Gu Yan withdrew the power of night in his hand. After he became blind, another power emerged in him. It is a stronger perception. Now, he seems to be able to see some lifelines that he couldn't see before. Thus lightly hook it with the dagger, and this thing will disappear from the world. He also experienced the world after Ling Qiyu became blind. Descriptive words. Even in complete darkness, all people and things will appear before your eyes in the form of light source. The life essence of each living thing is different. And the simplest difference is the color of the life essence. For example, Lang Bingning is sky blue with a hint of gold. And a special lifeline will appear above the head of the life essence. Whatever you see, you kill. As long as he could see this line, Gu Yan believed that even the so-called god, he can kill too. Is this the power of the Night King? It is so powerful. But it is still not enough. I am not yet good enough to see God's lifeline. Lang Bingning was speechless. She looked at Gu Yan in disbelief as he had turned himself into this state just to achieve his goal. She couldn't help but ask out loud, Plan, Gu Yan. What exactly is your plan? After killing the Ling family's previous enemies, won't you be able to live a happy life with Ling Qiyu? But now that the enemies in the ancient martial arts world are dead, aren't the only ones left in the secular world? With your previous methods, shouldn't they be enough to deal with them? What else do you want to do? Lang Bingning was beginning to be confused about Gu Yan's thoughts. The power of night is strong, but also extremely strange. Gu Yan understood that Lang Bingning had many questions, so he said calmly, the real enemies are not just these. I am not strong enough right now. There is no way to truly deal with those enemies. So mastering the true power of the night is what I need to do now. Speaking of this, Gu Yan looked at Lang Bingning. Trust me, Lang Bingning. Although his face was expressionless and his tone did not contain any emotion, Lang Bingning still felt that the other party was trying hard to make her believe him. That's right, little girl, don't worry. This guy has already thought it through clearly. Although I don't want to die with him. Unfortunately, this may be my last chance, so I must fight with this guy. Hear this? Lang Bingning's expression gradually calmed down. She took a deep breath and shook her head helplessly. What enemy? What last chance? I don't really understand these things. So I'm fine with cooperating. But, she pointed her finger at Gu Yan and said seriously, you must bring happiness to King Qiyu. Hearing this, Gu Yan covered his chest and said calmly, I will. After getting the reply, Lang Bingning smiled helplessly. Your tone is not convincing at all. Forget it, you don't have this feeling now. Anyway, I will cooperate with you. What are you going to do next? Tell me. Gu Yan couldn't explain that he was replying very seriously. He pointed to the sky, then to the ancient martial realm. Then looked at Lang Bingning and said shockingly, I plan to clear the ancient martial realm and turn it into a forbidden forest exclusively for monsters. Get ready and have the people of Bing Xi sect evacuate to the Alliance. From now on, no one will be able to enter or leave the ancient martial world. This entire area of the original ancient martial realm will become our new base. Lang Bingning, are you crazy? Her tone was horrified. Naughty ancient martial arts world is so big, it was transformed into a monster forest. This, do you know how incredible this is? Are you ready to destroy the whole world? On the contrary. I am calm. Guyan shook his head with a calm tone. Chapter 417, Ancient Martial Arts Restriction, New Alliance Leader. That night, a dark cloud covered the entire ancient martial arts world and obscured the sky. The dark clouds pressed down over the earth like thick ink, giving people a feeling of suffocation. There is an ominous atmosphere in the air, which makes people feel chilly. Countless black hands shot out from the dark clouds and into the ground, as if countless devil's hands were dancing wildly in the darkness. Each palm carried a strong sense of oppression, as if it was going to tear the earth apart. When the palm touched the ground, there was a dull thud and the ground began to shake. Waves of black turbid air seeped out from the surface and spread throughout the ancient martial arts world. A foul air spread rapidly like black smog, covering the entire world. Whenever the foul air touches plants, the grass and trees will quickly wither. When the foul air touches buildings, the walls will quickly corrode. The air will be filled with a foul stench that is nauseating. At the same time, black monsters of various sizes crawled out from the cracked ground. These monsters seemed to be summoned from the depths of hell, and each one exuded strong malice and murderous aura. There was a scarlet light flashing in their eyes, and their dark bodies were wriggling in the darkness like ghosts. Some monsters are like giant lizards covered with sharp scales. Some are humanoid but have multiple arms and sharp claws. And some have strange shapes, as if they were made up of countless shadows, making them difficult to identify. After they crawled out of the crack, they let out low roars. The warriors of the ancient martial arts world fled in terror because of this sudden scene, their hearts filled with fear and anxiety. Any warrior who inhales the foul air will immediately turn purple and suffocate to death. The warrior alliance stationed in the ancient martial arts world detected this abnormal fluctuation and immediately summoned a teleportation formation to teleport everyone who was still in the ancient martial arts world. The pollution of the foul air also reached the ancient martial arts alliance stronghold and polluted the place at the last moment before everyone left. Early the next morning, Warrior Alliance. Inside the meeting room. After Lao Yunyuan's death, Len Qingqiuyu became the leader of the meeting. As the strongest fighting force of mankind, she also serves as the leader of the alliance. Each department handed over all relevant intelligence to each other. A member of the monitoring department explained the scene on the screen. Please look, everyone, the ancient martial arts world in the picture seems to be wrapped in an ancient ban. We can't get in, and the monsters inside can't get out. Everyone looked over. At this time, the ancient martial arts world was constructed into a 3D stereoaxic effect by instruments. The ancient martial arts world was surrounded by a black ban. From the actual footage taken at the scene, the monsters inside kept ramming the restrictions in an attempt to escape, but to no avail. On the contrary, they wanted to get in, but there was no way at all. Ling Qingqiuyu thought for a moment and understood the cause and effect. If what she expected was correct, this was done by Gu Yan. On the surface, she said in a deep voice, "How many people in the ancient martial arts world have been transferred out?" Hear this. Another member said with a somewhat compassionate tone, "Sir, most people have come out, and a small number of people were left there, probably dead." Ling Qingqiuyu clenched his fists slightly, but quickly released them. "I understand." She glanced at the crowd, mentally weighing her next steps. Monsters are breeding in the ancient martial arts world, and strange plants are growing out of the ground. She sensed it and found that the situation in other areas was not clear. But at least all the monsters in Zhonghai City had disappeared. This means that Gu Yan transferred the monster and stuffed it into the restriction. Combined with the signs that the monsters in the restriction are trying to escape, there is a high probability that there is something inside the restriction that scares the monsters. So is Gu Yan's move good or bad? This obviously gives the Warrior Alliance enough time to grow. Ling Qingqiuyu put aside the distracting thoughts in his mind, and his voice became firm and calm. Next, we must ensure that all the people who have been transferred out are properly resettled. Secondly, we must organize forces as soon as possible to guard the border of the original ancient martial arts world, and have them prepare for defense to prevent the spread of monsters. Finally, and most importantly, we will continue to implement the warrior expansion policy and strive to completely replenish the warrior team before the end of the year. Yes. After hearing this, everyone took action immediately. The conference room was empty. Ling Qingqiuyu stood up and sighed softly. She knew that Gu Yan's arrangement was not without purpose, and there must be deeper reasons behind it. But she really couldn't figure out why Gu Yan trapped so many monsters. Is it purely to give their warriors time to develop? If so, why would the other party do this? Besides, Gu Yan, what are you doing now? Ling Qingqiuyu thought silently in his heart, not knowing why. A feeling of uneasiness suddenly welled up in her heart. This feeling of uneasiness must be related to Guyan. In an ancient and luxurious mansion, an energetic old man sat in front of the chessboard, listening to the reports of his subordinates. Opposite him, there sat a smiling young man. After hearing the report, the man looked at the old man in front of him and said, "Grandfather, it seems that Len Kinkyu doesn't want to pay attention to us." A bunch of rubbish, you can't even bring one person with you." The old man was one of the 3 old men kneeling on the ground in the secret room before. When he heard the report from his subordinates, his expression became very ugly. I invited him to join them with good intentions, but he didn't appreciate it. That being the case, the old man looked at his direct descendant in front of him and said in a cold voice, "Tian Yun, prepare to take over the position of leader of the warrior alliance." But grandfather, Lon Tian Yun's eyes lit up with joy, and he quickly stood up, bowed his head and expressed his gratitude. "Lon Tian Yuan, my brother, you have been the leader of the alliance for so long. This time it is finally my turn." The old man waved his hand. The subordinate who was reporting the intelligence left first. Then Lon Tianyun walked over and asked softly, "Grandfather, do you have anything else to say?" Hearing this, the old man had a serious expression and said in a serious tone, "After you become the leader of the alliance, don't touch Ling Kinkyu for now. After all, she is a grand master, and you are not her opponent with your current strength. But the people around her are not untouchable. For example, the young master of the Gu family, Guyan. The Gu family is quite powerful. If you can use them, it will definitely consolidate your position. When Ling Kinkyu becomes a widower, he will understand who is the boss of this alliance. Also, the anti-demon weapon project can now be initiated. You will be in charge of it." When Lon Tianyun heard this, he was stunned. Anti-demon weaponness. Seeing this, the old man frowned, and his voice was slightly cold. "Why, you don't want to?" "I dare not. Tianyun is willing." Lon Tianyun quickly knelt on the ground with a thud, his voice filled with fear. "Grandfather, how did his cultivation level break through again?" "Oh, this plan is vital. If you do it well, Tianyun, it is not impossible for you to break through to Grand Master. Go down." The old man waved his sleeves, signaling this direct descendant of his blood to leave. Yes. Lon Tianyun didn't dare to say much and left quietly, because he knew how powerful a monster his grandfather was. Until Lon Tianyun left, the old man's expression then became slightly solemn. He already knew the current situation of the ancient martial arts world, but he was very confused as to why it turned out like that. Who created it, and what was the purpose? Could it be the Night King? If it's really him, then it's going to be troublesome. For some reason, the forbidden area suddenly became dilapidated, and not even a single monster existed. It was like a dead place. However, if there are no monsters, then they won't be able to activate the anti-demon weapon plan. What should I do now? At this time, rush. A figure flashed behind the old man. This was a death warrior secretly trained by the Long family who only obeyed his orders. He stepped forward and reported respectfully, "Sir, the White Army has brought a group of half-demons back to the Alliance." White Army? The old man thought about it and suddenly remembered that the other party was the so-called youngest and most talented master. But didn't he remember that he died when he was fighting the Night King? Of course, that doesn't matter anymore. The important thing is, he brought a group of half-demons with him. Oh, this is quite interesting. Thinking of this, the old man ordered, "Go and explain to that idiot Tianyun like this." "Yes, sir." Rush. The assassins left. The old man then looked at the chessboard with satisfaction. Half-demon, what a good half-demon. Chapter 418 Ring Grandpa. This is Lon Tianyun's side. Okay, Shadow Zame. Crush. After giving his instructions, the assassin left, and Lon Tianyun gradually changed from bending over to straightening up. He looked around and found that there was no one around, and his expression became ferocious. "You old thing. You want me to be the bad guy, right? Anti-demon weapons are inherently against human ethics. But the damn old man actually wanted him to be a shield? Lon Aotian, you are a monster who has lived for so long. But you are still alive? I was so weak that I couldn't get out of bed. But I didn't expect you to break through it. Damn it. Is it really that hard to die?" And at this time, buzz. The ring on Lon Tianyun's hand suddenly flickered slightly. An ancient voice came out, "Xiaoyun, there is no need to be like this. Once you break through to the Grand Master level and fully master the skills, it will be just a matter of time before you can deal with your ancestor." Hearing this, Lon Tianyun then calmed down a little, his expression somewhat unwilling. "Master, what should I do to break through to the Grand Master level?" He found this ring by chance in his mother's relic cabinet. He had never paid much attention to it before, until a strange phenomenon occurred in heaven and earth not long ago, and the ring suddenly emitted a considerable energy fluctuation. Only then did he discover the secret of the ring. The soul of an ancient powerful man actually resided in it. Presumably, his mother's death was also due to this ring. Chow Yun, there are two ways. One is to practice the Dragon Aoj Tinju that I gave you. However, this secret book requires consuming special heaven and birth energy to practice. However, this kind of heaven and birth energy is very rare, and I am afraid it will be difficult for you to encounter it. Another way is to devour enough grandmasters to become grandmasters. Hear these two methods. Long Tianyun's face fell, and he wailed, Master, neither of these two methods is as difficult as ascending to heaven, not to mention absorbing the energy of heaven and earth. Speaking of this devouring master, where can he find so many masters? Although it is easier to break through the realm after the strange phenomenon of heaven and earth. But the Grand Master is not as cheap as cabbage, right? Aha, becoming a Grand Master is as difficult as ascending to heaven. If you want to avenge your mother, you have to pay a price. The voice in the ring continued to bewitch. Long Tianyun's eyes flickered constantly. And finally, he asked in a low voice, Then Master, is the anti-demon weapon plan feasible? If someone can create a master, can I devour one? I am not sure about this, but you can give it a try. Understood. Long Tianyun took a deep breath, his eyes determined. So that's the case. This pair of magic weapons must be activated. I must become stronger, and then kill that old monster for my mother. Thinking of this, Long Tianyun said gratefully in his heart, Master, the world is constantly changing now. You are the only person I trust the most. Xiaoyun, if your mother were still alive, she would definitely be proud of you. What a pity Long Aotian, this crazy guy could even kill his own wife. The voice in the ring was very complicated, as if it was truly heartbroken for what happened that year. Long Tianyun clenched his fists and said solemnly, I will definitely avenge my mother. And his confidence comes from the master in his ring. 3 days later, a piece of breaking news spread throughout the Warrior Alliance. That is, Long Tianyun succeeded as the new leader of the Warrior Alliance. This incident caused quite a stir across the entire internet. But soon a public relations officer came forward to introduce Long Tianyun's brilliant achievements, and emphasized that the leader of an alliance not only needs to be strong, but also needs to make the right decisions at critical moments. At the same time, it also lists the various battle records of Long Tianyun that reversed the outcome of the situation at the border of the ancient martial arts realm. Leng Qingqiu is very powerful, but he has never been a leader before. So it is for Leng Qingqiu's good to replace him with an experienced person. After a while, the voices of opposition have indeed decreased a lot. Yi Jun returned to the alliance, but he was soon taken away by people arranged by Long Tianyun. No one knew where he went. All we know is that the half-demons who came back with the White Army were also taken away by another group of people. Most members of the sword-holding department were poached and voluntarily transferred out of the sword-holding department. Even powerful swordsmen like Shangwan Miaoyan were recruited to the headquarters by the newly appointed leader Long Tianyun. Other department members lamented that a new official has 3 big things to do upon taking office. Long Tianyun wants to exclude Leng Qingqiu. They were very angry. After all, at this time they were still playing this kind of power struggle, but there was nothing they could say after all, they simply didn't have the strength. Besides, Leng Qingqiu showed no signs of wanting to turn against the new leader. They can't say anything more. The ancient martial arts world is now called the Monster Forbidden Zone. On a black mountain that towers into the clouds, Guyan stood on the top of the mountain, and he continuously threw tentacles with weak energy fluctuations into the void. Rush. A black-robed figure appeared behind him. Master. The voice was familiar, it was Lao Gao, whom I hadn't seen for a long time. Guyan had previously arranged for the other party to hide in the secular world and pass on information from there at any time. Explain. Guyan asked while releasing these tentacles mixed with opportunity. Just as young master thought, the Long, Situ, and Yu families have arranged new leaders, and the anti-demon weapon plan has also officially begun in secret. In addition, Long Tianyun sent someone to the Gu family and offered some conditions, hoping that you, young master, would join their Long family. The members of the sword division have all been poached to some extent. After Lao Gao finished explaining, he quietly waited for Guyan's next instruction. Hearing this, Guyan nodded calmly. Okay? Everything was just as he expected. So the next step can begin. Thinking of this, he stretched out his hand and handed Lao few black squirming balls. He said calmly, This is the monster ball that hosts a Grand Master level monster. Just throw it into the secular world and it will quickly expand and turn into a monster. Monsters will attack living things, but don't worry. When a person dies, their soul will be directly absorbed and transferred to me. Lao Gao took the monster ball, nodded and asked, Okay. Young master, where should I throw it? After half a month, all of them will be dropped in the area closest to the Alliance headquarters. Okay master? Lao Gao was a little speechless this. More than a dozen Grand Master monsters were left at the Alliance headquarters. What kind of disaster would this cause? Sometimes he couldn't understand the young master. He said that the young master must have lost his emotions. But when it comes to Ling Qiyu, the other party doesn't seem so emotional. As Alliance headquarters. Long Tianyun looked at the online comments with a joking expression. Oh, this way, I can sit firmly on this chair, and it will be more convenient to mobilize resources to collect special energy. Buzz. At this time, the ring flickered slightly, and the voice was hoarse. Chao Yun, I have a feeling that in half a month, a rare treasure will be born in the south. This rare treasure may be of some help to you in breaking through to Grand Master level. Exotic treasure? Long Tianyun's expression lit up with joy. He had broken through to the late Grand Master stage. All thanks to the guidance of the master in the ring. If the master said so, then there must be a rare treasure coming into the world. He quickly asked, do you have a specific location? I'm not sure, but it should be in the south half a month from now. If you're worried, send someone to investigate in the south in advance. Hearing this, Long Tianyun nodded and said, okay. Let me stabilize it for a few more days, and then send warriors to the south to look for rare treasures. Haha, that's very good. Chapter 419. Are the Nether King and the Night King the same person? Wang Yulin's treatment. Early the next morning, on the top floor of the Sword Department building, Langlinger placed a letter on Ling Qiyu's desk. The latter took a glance and saw that it was just an ordinary envelope. She's been getting too much these days. Because of his personal charm. All the people who were won over came forward to confess their crimes. But if we reject all of them, I'm afraid some powerless sword bearers will suffer unfair treatment. So instead of refusing, it is better to selectively join Long Tianyun's side. Just in case, she also asked Shangguan Mayayin and others to sneak in together. The purpose is very simple, just to see what Long Tianyun wants to do. Thinking of this, she said casually, don't worry, just let them go. However, it was different from the ordinary letter Ling Qiyu had imagined. Langlinger shook her head and shouted indignantly. No, sister, the person being wooed is my brother-in-law. The guy called Long Tianyun sent the letter of enticement directly to the Gu family. If Lao Gao hadn't tipped me off, I'm afraid we would still be kept in the dark. This is simply too much. Ling Qiyu didn't care much about these things. But when she heard that Long Tianyun's target was Gu Yan, her brows raised, and she felt a strange feeling inside. Although it is just a guess, the current commotion in the ancient martial arts world should be caused by Gu Yan. So Long Tianyun tried to win over Gu Yan, the man behind the scenes. Should we say he is stupid or confident? Of course. The most important thing is that everyone knows that Gu Yan is her partner. Such blatant solicitation was clearly a provocation to her. However, this approach is really ridiculous after all. Gu Yan will never join Long Tianyun's camp, so it is meaningless. Don't worry about it. Ling Qiyu chuckled since he had set his sights on Gu Yan. She didn't believe that Gu Yan would not take any action. Langlinger was a little unhappy. Sister, shouldn't we fight back? For example, rush to the headquarters and beat up that guy named Long Tianyun. I am already in the late Xiantian stage. And I am only one step away from becoming a Grand Master. Listening to his sister's remarks, Ling Qiyu shook his head helplessly. Linger, you need to be more stable and mature, of course. You must fight back. It's just a matter of waiting for the right time. The right time? Langlinger didn't quite understand. When will the right time come? Well, a reason that allows us to take action openly. Ling Qiyu's lips curled up slightly. Previously, someone from an organization called Spirit came and arrogantly asked her to go and meet the real master of the Alliance. On the surface, she looked distrustful and rejected the other party. But in fact, she had sent Clivia to follow him secretly. Clivia has a special skill that can summon the dream butterfly that blends into nature without being discovered by anyone. So, she learned about the three families behind the Alliance. The Long family, the Yu family, and the Sidhu family. The ancestors of the three tribes are all grandmasters. But the aura was very strange, as if someone had instilled in it a cultivation level that was forcibly raised. In short, they are just three pieces of trash that can be easily destroyed. However, since she was no longer affected by the power of the night, the murderous feeling in her heart has decreased a lot. Even if they provoked her, she would just teach them a lesson and not really kill them. And if these three people want to hurt the people around her, then Ling Qiyu will let them know who the real master of the Alliance is. In a floating prison made of black rocks in the monster forbidden zone. Buzz. At the appearance of a space vortex, Gu Yan walked out of it. Bang! As soon as it appeared, a loud noise was heard in front of it. Ooh, Night King, you actually lied to us. Gu Yan looked up and saw a huge life-source strapped inside. It was the giant Silver Wolf from the Netherworld clan. Silver Moon was trapped inside, its eyes bloodshot with regret. What king of the underworld? This is all fake. It turns out, from the beginning to the end, their king has never been resurrected. And everything is just a conspiracy of the Night King. Guyan said calmly after hearing this, it's just that you are too stupid. After saying that, he raised his hand slightly, and a force of night surged from the palm of his hand towards Silver Moon. In just a blink of an eye, the huge silver wolf was instantly refined into a silver wolf ore with the shape of a wolf head. He had an idea. A space crack was sucked into it by the silver wolf's energy. The strange treasure has been solved. All that was left was to wait for half a month for Long Qingyun to find the silver wolf energy and swallow it. And then, it is also the time for him to control Long Qingyun. He infused this silver wolf energy with the power of night and claw cells. Once absorbed and refined by someone, all thoughts of the person who absorbs it will be controlled by Guyan. And at this time, you are Guyan. Or is it the Night King? An incredible voice came from the cell on the other side. Guyan looked over. Judging from the light source in the voice, this person is none other than Wang Yilan after she has been transformed into a demon. Wang Yilan really didn't expect the Night King, Guyan, and the King of the Underworld. It's the same person. Does Guyan still Guyan? Does he have self-awareness? Or has he been possessed by someone else? Wang Yilan was a little nervous as she was stared at by Guyan's eyes that seemed to be made up of chaotic lines. A sense of oppression suddenly filled Wang Yilan's heart. And she couldn't help but clench her palms. Even though he had achieved a breakthrough to become a Grand Master, he was still terrified by this. Both, Guyan said lightly. He stretched out his hand, click. The restriction that trapped Wang Yilan was broken. The latter slowly fell from Midra, with a puzzled expression. You won't kill me. No, I have another task for you. Guyan walked forward, and a claw appeared from his palm. He had no expression on his face and said in a calm tone, eat it. Eat it? Wang Yilan looked at the tentacles in Guyan's palm and felt a little resistant. But she had already eaten the tentacles Guyan gave her before. So now her body couldn't help but pick up the tentacles and swallow them. And suddenly, a wonderful power appeared in her body. Wang Yilan looked a little surprised. What is this? I feel full of strength. Guyan explained calmly, you have the spirit of the flower god. And now with the spirit of life that I gave you, the combination of the two can create a biological body out of thin air. As he spoke, he moved his fingers slightly. Boom! The world here expanded and changed in an instant. Under Wang Yilan's somewhat shocked gaze, Guyan stretched out his hand. And dense tentacles floated on the ground like pollen and took root in it. Chapter 420. Half a month later, release the monster. Guyan said slowly. This is the soul of the dead. What I want you to do is to make bodies for them and store them here. Once the dust settles, I will revive them. You are absolutely safe in this place. When Wang Yilan heard this, she became increasingly confused. The soul of a dead person, making a body? Awakening? What is all this? Guyan didn't explain too much, he just flew a tentacle into Wang Yilan's palm. He turned around and said slowly, more souls will be teleported here later. All you have to do is build the body for them. Without my consent, the body and soul cannot merge with each other, so don't have any crooked ideas. The soul in your hand is your reward for Forkenwald. As soon as he finished speaking before Wang Yilan could continue asking questions, Guyan disappeared. Wang Yilan looked at this place that looked like a sea of tentacles with a confused expression and a strange feeling in her heart. What does Guyan want to do? And the reward? When Wang Yilan thought of this, she looked at the tentacles in her hand and was suddenly stunned. Because under her perception, the soul of this tentacle gradually took shape, and gradually turned into a person she was most familiar with. This person is Mom? Wang Yilan's voice trembled slightly. What on earth is going on? Why is my mother's soul in Guyan's hands? Sudden, Wang Yilan rambled all over, as if she thought of something. The first time I met Guyan was when Guyan came to visit my mother as a student. Because of Guyan's series of help, she developed a good impression of him. Afterwards, Guyan and Shaolin had a conflict, and he chose to believe that Guyan was on his side. Not long after, the two put aside their past grudges and Shaolin came to the hospital to visit her mother. It was also on that night that Shaolin, with a look of panic on his face, pierced her mother's chest. Therefore, he chose to join the Peach Blossom Society and become a warrior in order to avenge his mother. But unexpectedly, after this, Taohua would transform into Forbidden Land now. 5, and the Nether clan occupied this place. He even became a demonized creature of the king of the underworld. But who would have thought that there was no king of the underworld at all? There was only one person from beginning to end, and that was Guyan. What was the other party's purpose in doing this? Why should I be implicated by the other party? When Wang Yilan thought of this, she suddenly realized something and her eyes widened. Guyan's purpose is Shaolin? A bitter smile appeared on her lips. Is that so? When Shaolin met himself, Has she already fallen deeply into Gu Yan's plan? What a mother's student. Everything is a lie. After learning this, Wang Yelin gradually felt relieved for some reason. She looked at her mother's soul in her hand, and then looked at the soul tentacles all over the ground that seemed completely dead to outsiders, and couldn't help but sigh. Gu Yan, what exactly do you want to do? I'm past, half a month later. Thanks to Long Tianyun and the forces behind him, he has completely become the leader of the Warrior Alliance. Although there were still many dissenting voices, the voices of approval outweighed the voices of opposition. So everyone reluctantly recognized Long Tianyun. And Long Tianyun also began to work on the construction of safety prevention and control matters. Let some warriors patrol the streets and show off their skills. Make people feel safe. For half a month, the monsters stopped attacking, as if they were afraid of the warriors who often patrolled the streets. Social order gradually began to function. What's more, some people attributed the peaceful life to Long Tianyun's governance. However, only those who know the inside story understand that now all the monsters have been transferred to the interior of the original ancient martial arts world and can never come out. Now it is just the calm before the storm. The man is on the islands. A group of warriors were exploring this place in distress. PSK, this new official is so busy after taking office. It hasn't been long since we were asked to explore an unknown island. That's right, it's already this late. All our main forces are here to explore the island. What should we do with the guards at the headquarters? Is Long Tianyun a fool? Oh, stop talking RNT, they're patrolling warriors. Even though they are not strong enough, they are enough to maintain basic order. Of course we can deal with some troublemakers, but what if a monster appears? No, the monsters haven't come out for half a month. Besides, even if it doesn't work, don't we still have Minister Leng, the head of the sword department? Alas, it's a pity that Minister Leng didn't become the leader. Otherwise, how could we mobilize so many forces to search for that rare treasure? The warriors had some resentment, but they couldn't say it out loud. After all, he is the leader. Long Tianyun was also on an island at this time, and there was a hint of excitement in his eyes. These islands suddenly appeared on the sea in recent days. Considering what my master said about the rare treasures, it would be a good idea to explore this place. At this time, Xiaoyun, I sense an abnormal energy fluctuation. The rare treasure is about to appear in the world. The ring on Long Tianyun's finger suddenly flashed and made a hoarse sound. His eyes lit up with joy, and he was about to ask. Boom! Ooh, ooh, oh, oh, oh. Along with the powerful beam of energy, a wolf howl also resounded through the sky. Leader, it's the ancient spirit. At this time, everyone shouted in surprise. Long Tianyun quickly looked up at the beam of light. Just see. A black aura that looked like a wolf's head floated near the light column. Xiaoyun, quick, that is the ancient energy that can help you practice. Click. The voice in the ring urged hurriedly. Long Tianyun also nodded and flew upwards. Okay. After absorbing this energy of heaven and earth, I am one step closer to breaking through to the Grand Master level. Not only that, my combat power will also become stronger, which will further consolidate my position in the alliance. What everyone doesn't know is, now the secular world. A black-robed figure appeared in the area near the Warrior Alliance headquarters. This person is Lao Gao. On his shoulders stood a raven with strange eyes. Master, the main forces of the alliance have withdrawn. Rumor has it that they have all been sent to the southern islands to look for opportunities. Raven tilted his head, then let us get started. Okay. Master. Lao Gao nodded. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and then he threw out a dozen or so balls emitting a strange aura in his hand. A vicious monster is sealed in each sphere, and a black aura flows on the surface of the sphere, giving people an ominous premonition. In an instant, the sphere drew arcs in the air and headed straight for the ground with a sharp sound of breaking through the air. Boom! The moment the sphere touched the ground, a violent explosion resounded through the sky. The ground shook violently, and dust flew everywhere. People throughout the area felt a tremor. Some of them opened the windows and looked outside, while others stopped on the street and looked around. And with just one glance, all of them were stunned. Just see. After each sphere exploded, the black turbidere quickly spread out and turned into black mist, covering the surroundings. The monsters sealed in the sphere immediately broke free and emerged from the black fog, roaring. These monsters have different shapes, are hideous and terrifying, and are huge in size. There was a blood-red light flashing in their eyes, filled with endless malice and desire to kill. As a deep roar sounded, more than a dozen powerful Grand Master monsters appeared near the headquarters area. Gu Yan, the Raven incarnation, watched all this calmly. Go ahead and spread fear and chaos, he whispered, his voice cold with command. The monsters received the order and quickly spread everywhere like wild beasts on the loose. This area is once again plunged into chaos and fear. And this huge breath. even though they were far away. Ling Qiyu, who was practicing sword skills, quickly noticed and stood up. Her face darkened. More than a dozen great masters Horus. Violent and chaotic. Is this a monster? Was it Gu Yan's doing? How many people will die? Ling Qiyu clenched her fist. No, she had to go. Chapter 421. The monsters are rampant. I won't let you hide from me anymore. It was clearly daytime. But the sky above the city was covered by a layer of dark clouds. The whole city was plunged into darkness. The monsters rushed into the city like a storm, bringing endless destruction and terror. The monster was huge, and its ferocious face looked particularly terrifying under the light of the fire. They wielded their huge claws and destroyed everything at will. Tall buildings collapsed like paper under their attack, and vehicles on the streets were overturned and caught fire. The debris of buildings flew everywhere, thick smoke billowed, and the entire city was instantly engulfed in flames. A huge monster with a red glow all over its body stood on a half-destroyed building. Its shape seemed to be a fusion of sand and strange creatures. Its exterior is covered with sharp thorns, its limbs are thick, and its skin is as hard and rough as rock. Its eyes flashed with an eerie light, as if hiding endless malice. Roar! All I heard was a low growl from the gravel-like monster, followed by a deafening roar. It raised its huge forearms, leapt heavily from the tall building and slammed the ground. Boom! With this vibration, countless cracks suddenly appeared on the ground. The surrounding buildings collapsed instantly under this powerful force, and dust flew everywhere. Amidst the chaos, the monster's shape began to change. In full view of everyone, its body split from the center and separated into multiple identical individuals. Although these individuals have shrunk in size, their strength has not diminished at all. Each of the monster's split bodies carried the same murderous intent and destructive power, and quickly dispersed and began to destroy everything around them. A surviving citizen looked at the monster clones in horror. They seemed endless and surrounded him from different directions. These split bodies moved quickly and cooperated with each other tacitly, forming an extremely terrifying hunting network. Help! Don't come over here! The citizen shouted desperately, but his voice was quickly drowned out by the monster's roar. Damn it, what kind of monsters are these? They're not even in the illustrated manual. What should we do? The leader is not here, and some high-level warriors have also evacuated the headquarters. We can't resist these monsters with just a few of us. Quick, have you asked for help from the surrounding cities? It's too late. Even if I teleport, it will take some time. On the other side, several warriors tried to organize a resistance, but their attacks had almost no effect on these monsters. The sword blade split the monster's body, but the sand grains gathered together again and returned to their original state in an instant. Whenever a warrior tried to attack at close range, the monster would leap high into the air, and its huge body would instantly split into dozens of small individuals, attacking from different directions, making it impossible for the warrior to defend himself. Not only that, each clone of the sand monster can merge with each other after splitting, reforming a larger individual, which increases its destructive power exponentially. These monsters are simply impossible to kill. A warrior shouted in despair. His sword blade was covered with sand and dust, but there was not a drop of blood. The split bodies of the sand and stone monsters continued to wreak havoc, and the other large monsters at the Grandmaster level wreaked havoc. The destroyed city was ablaze with flames extinguishing all hope. Their roars and fighting sounds mixed together, forming a hellish scene. The air was filled with the smell of blood and gunpowder. Thick black smoke obscured the night sky, and the entire city was immersed in endless fear and oppression. People's screams and cries for help echoed in the night sky, filled with endless fear and despair. Children were crying. Parents were desperately protecting their children, trying to escape from this hellish scene, and the elderly were crawling hard in the ruins, trying to find their surviving relatives. Blood flowed in the streets, dyeing this once prosperous city red. Help, can someone come and save us? A young woman was crying, her voice full of despair. Beside her was her husband, who was lying in a pool of blood, his life or death unknown. Quick, protect the citizens and stop these monsters. The leading warrior shouted and led the team to charge towards the monster. No, don't come over here. A little boy huddled in the corner, fear in his eyes. He watched as a monster approached him, its sharp claws flashing coldly in the darkness. However, the power of these monsters far exceeded their imagination. The warriors fought the monster with all their might, but under the monster's fierce attack, the warriors fell one after another. Blood splattered and screams rang out one after another. The warrior was hit by the monster's claws and his body was torn apart instantly. His companion tried to save him, but was tackled to the ground by another monster and lost his life instantly. The battle was over in just a few minutes, and all the warriors who came to support were killed by the monster. The sky above the city was filled with a strong smell of blood, and the ruins illuminated by the fire looked as terrifying as hell. People's cries and wails echoed in the night sky, filled with endless sadness and despair. Oh my God, what should we do? A survivor collapsed on the ground. His eyes filled with tears and fear. The whole city fell into chaos and fear. As if the end of the world had come. Monsters are rampant in the ruins, bringing endless destruction, and death. Hope seems to have completely disappeared at this moment, leaving only endless darkness and despair. Dark place. Lao Cao looked at this purgatory-like scene with his hands clenched tightly. He sighed softly at the raven on his shoulder. Master, is it really necessary? They don't know that they will not die, and those who survive will only hate you more. Oh, Gu Yan said calmly. No need to explain, everything is part of the plan. Master. Lao Gao shook his head and asked, Young master, is it worth it for you to do this? What kind of enemy would require you to go to such lengths? The surrounding cities received the message and began to come to support. But it took time to activate the teleportation array. And this short period of time is probably enough for these monsters to slaughter all the citizens. They were panicked and angry. Why didn't any strong people come to support them from the headquarters? Even the alliance leader Long Qianyan did not show up. Where did they go? And just when everyone was in despair. Buzz! A space crack was torn open. At the same time, a cold figure walked out from the crack. Ling Qingyu's face was as cold as ice, without a trace of expression on her face, as if the tragic scene before her could not shake her in the slightest. Her appearance was like a gust of cold wind, instantly freezing all the chaos and panic. At the moment when everyone was stunned, Ling Qingyu had already taken action. She raised her hand slightly, and the 26 spiritual blades behind her shot out instantly. Boom! In an instant, the sword energy was sharp and swept forward like a torrent, attacking the group of monsters. The slaughter has begun. BNG. I saw the sword light in the air rushing through the air like lightning. Every ray of sword light was like the god of death's scythe, ruthlessly reaping the lives of monsters. No matter whether it was a huge monster or a small monster that was split off, none of them could survive for a moment under the sword light. Wherever the sword light passed, monsters exploded and turned into ashes. Those great masters and monsters who seemed like gods and demons in front of others now seemed so fragile and vulnerable in front of Ling Qingyu. Ling Qingyu's figure flashed on the battlefield like a ghost. Her swordsmanship was as smooth as flowing water, and every sword carried unparalleled precision and deadly power. Her sword energy intertwined in the air to form a huge net, enveloping all the monsters, leaving none spared. Boom! With a loud bang, Ling Qingyu's sword energy exploded in the air, forming a huge energy wave that instantly shattered the surrounding monsters into powder. At this moment, the whole city seemed to be shrouded in sword energy, and the air was filled with a strong smell of blood and gunpowder. The ruins illuminated by the fire were as terrifying as hell. However, the appearance of Ling Qingyu was like a ray of light that tore through the darkness. Who is she? The surviving citizen muttered to himself with shock on his eyes. Ling Qingyu, the minister of the sword department, has come to save us. Another citizen shouted excitedly, with a gleam of hope in his eyes. Ling Qingyu did not respond, she just continued to swing the sword in her hand, and the sword energy swept in all directions like a storm. Each sword carries endless murderous intent and coldness, completely killing all the monsters. The light of the teleportation array finally lit up, and the supporting warriors rushed to the scene, but what they saw was a battlefield swept by sword energy. All the monsters had been killed. Ling Qingyu put away his sword and stood, looking coldly at the ruins in front of him, without a trace of fluctuation in his eyes. Minister Lang, thank you for saving us. A survivor shouted excitedly, his voice full of gratitude and awe. Ling Qingyu did not respond. She just turned around, her eyes penetrated through the layers of walls and saw a familiar source of life. Looks like he's about to leave. Gu Yan, don't even think about leaving. She clenched her fists and rushed forward in an instant. This is Gu Yan. He seemed to sense something and let Lao Gao leave first. Buzz! A crack appeared in front of the raven he transformed into. And then, a pure jade hand stretched out from it, grabbed Gu Yan, who had turned into a raven. Ling Qingyu's voice and figure followed. Gu Yan, what on earth do you want to do? Killed so many people and destroyed the city. These shouldn't be our enemies. Gu Yan was held in Ling Qingyu's hand. He saw Ling Qingyu's life essence through the crow's eyes. In his perspective it was also so dazzling. Next second, Raven's body began to swell in Ling Qingyu's hands. The latter gritted his teeth and quickly let go. Bang! There was a loud bang, and the raven exploded into pieces in front of Ling Qingyu. However, Ling Qingyu, who had already decided to make things clear with Gu Yan, naturally would not let him go. She waved her right hand, and a black aura appeared in her palm. Just now, she had locked onto Gu Yan's breath through her mental power. Even if he hid to the ends of the earth, he would not be able to escape. Buzz! A crack opened in Link Inkyu's figure sank into it. Gu Yan. Chapter 422. Showdown, a glimmer of hope. At this time, it was on the edge of a cliff with a bottomless abyss below. A figure stood here. It was Gu Yan. He seemed to be waiting for someone, and his face was not covered by any special rules. At this moment, there was a sudden strange wave in the air. Gu Yan did not turn around, but just looked into the distance. Buzz. The next second, a crack slowly opened in the void, and Link Inkyu's figure appeared. She was dressed in white, as cold as snow, and the sword in her hand emitted a cold light. When Link Inkyu saw the familiar source of life standing on the edge of the cliff, his expression became extremely complicated. The other party stood here and didn't leave. Does that mean that he also wants to have a showdown with her? Link Inkyu dispersed all her spiritual blades. She stood where she was and did not move forward because she wanted to figure things out. Gu Yan, is it still Gu Yan? You shouldn't have come. Gu Yan didn't turn his back, and his tone was indifferent and calm. Link Inkyu's heart suddenly twitched when he heard Gu Yan's indifferent tone. Once upon a time, why would Gu Yan speak to her in this tone? She took a deep breath and slowly asked, why shouldn't I come? Link Inkyu discovered some abnormalities in Gu Yan's body, but she was still a little unsure. Until the other person slowly turned around, his face expressionless, and said in a calm tone, because this way, you can immerse yourself in the real yet illusory illusion I created for you. As soon as these words came out, Link Inkyu opened his lips slightly, but no sound came out. She seemed to be frozen at that moment, unable to move, because she finally understood what was wrong with that thing she had sensed. That was a state she would never forget. Gu Yan? She stopped thinking and walked towards him step by step, her tone a little flustered. Why did your body become like this? Have you lost your emotions? Link Inkyu originally wanted to question Gu Yan about his previous actions, but when she saw the strong aura of night power coming from Gu Yan, her heart became extremely flustered. She didn't think much about the strange things Gu Yan said. Gu Yan's current state is exactly the same as her original state, polluted and eroded by the power of the night, gradually losing all emotions. Afterwards, the pollution of the power of night will corrode the eyes and gradually cause blindness. Although I had cut my eyes at the beginning, they were repaired by the power of night. But they were contaminated by the power of night again, and I became blind again. Now Gu Yan has become like this? Link Inkyu was panicking. Only, Rub, a dangerous aura suddenly flashed in Link Inkyu's heart. She paused. A dagger suddenly appeared and hovered in front of Link Inkyu. The latter's expression froze. If she had continued walking, the dagger would have pierced her forehead. Gu Yan, wanna kill her? Thinking of this, Link Inkyu looked up at Gu Yan in disbelief, his voice trembling. Gu Yan, what is wrong with you? Looking at Gu Yan, who seemed so unfamiliar, Link Inkyu didn't know what to do for a moment. Gu Yan spoke slowly, but what he said made Link Inkyu feel cold all over. Link Inkyu, that's enough. Link Inkyu's breathing stagnated. She stood there, motionless, completely stunned by what Gu Yan said. Is enough? It seemed to be to make Link Inkyu understand better. Gu Yan said coldly, you already know my identity. The fake Night King who took your dagger was me. Don't you always want to know why I do this? That's because I already knew that you possessed the power of the night. And my goal was precisely for the dagger in your hand. Every word pierced Link Inkyu's heart like a needle. An inexplicable panic surged in her heart, making it difficult for her to breathe. What? Gu Yan already knew that she was the Night King, and his purpose was just to take away her dagger. Why? How could this happen? Link Inkyu's mind flashed through all the loving actions and words that Gu Yan had done for her. I made brown sugar ginger soup for her in the middle of the night and made delicious sweets for her. Gu Yan, who was so gentle to her. All this, how could it be fake? Link Inkyu gritted her teeth, clenched her fists, and shouted at Gu Yan. Impossible, I don't believe it. Gu Yan, you must have your own difficulties, right? Or is it the power of the night that made you like this? I don't blame you for taking my dagger. I can ask someone to think of a way to remove the power of night for you. Xiaoling, yes, I have a personality called Xiaoling inside me. She understands the power of the night better than I do. She will definitely find a way. Link Inkyu had only revenge in her mind until Gu Yan shone the first ray of light on her. Then she fell in love with Gu Yan, and then Gu Yan made her feel at home. How could all this be fake? She loves Gu Yan, and she also believes that Gu Yan loves her. Gu Yan must have his own reasons for doing this. That's right. As long as she talks to Gu Yan nicely, he will definitely be able to tell her the reason. See this scene. Gu Yan's expression did not change at all. He just raised his hand slightly. The dagger in front of Link Inkyu began to stir. Gu Yan said calmly, Link Inkyu, all of this is just an illusion created to take away your dagger. Now that I have the dagger, your only role is to be killed by me and help me break through the realm limit. Having said that, Guyan's tone was already filled with undisguised malice. Ling Qingqiu's expression stiffened slightly, and his heart trembled violently. Before she could react, Guyan then slowly spoke. You should also know that the only way for the Night King to gain true power is the blood of the person you love most. Why do I try every possible means to get close to you and treat you well? The fundamental purpose is, it's falling in love with you. Then kill you. The words fell. Buzz. The dagger stabbed towards Ling Qingqiu in an instant. As for the latter, his mind went blank because of Guyan's words. What Guyan said was exactly what Xiaoling said, and it was also the way to become stronger that he had seen in the cult book. Kill the one you love most and get the blood of your heart. Is this why Guyan approached her? Impossible, absolutely not. Impossible. Ling Qingqiu gritted her teeth. She looked at the dagger stabbing towards her. But instead of retreating, she advanced and even removed all her defenses. Because of her, I believe Guyan won't kill her. And see this scene. Guyan's heart, which should have been free of emotions, was actually filled with waves. Next second, at the moment when the dagger was about to pierce Ling Qingqiu's heart, brush, the dagger dissipated. Ling Qingqiu got the answer. Her expression could no longer be maintained, and finally collapsed. And a line of tears flowed from the corner of her eyes. She walked forward, looked at Guyan's life essence, and choked up. Guyan, what's wrong with you? If you really wanted to kill me, you would have succeeded just now. Please explain it to me clearly. If you do this, what should linger and I do? Come back. Come back. She wanted to reach out and hold Guyan. However, but it was blocked by Guyan with a barrier. Guyan looked at Ling Qingqiu. He couldn't have too complicated emotions. He just said calmly, Ling Qingqiu, I will become the greatest evil in this world. Everyone will die because of me. Whether it's Langlinger or the Gu family. This alliance monster is just a preview. If you can't find the heart to kill me, and these people will all die. Put away the last bit of thought you have for me. Next time more people will die. After saying that, Guyan's figure began to become illusory. Ling Qingqiu kept slapping the special forbidden barrier. Come back, come back. She summoned her spirit blades to attack the barrier. But it was of no use. It's as if the barrier is in another space. She collapsed and shouted, Guyan, come back to me. However, no matter how much Ling Qingqiu shouted, she could not stop Guyan from leaving. As the barrier disappeared, Guyan's figure also completely disappeared. And even this trace of breath disappeared. Ling Qingqiu slowly slid to the ground and sobbed in pain. Xiaoling, what on earth happened to Guyan? What should I do? Just like what Guyan said, the other me tried to kill the other person. Otherwise, everyone will die. Xiaoling, do you know something? Why don't you speak? Why are all of you hiding it from me? Ling Qingqiu felt extremely distressed, as she could see that Guyan had his own difficulties. But why did he hide this difficulty from her? It seemed that even Xiaoling knew about it. Why did you keep it from her alone? More people will die next time. Did Guyan do all this just to let her kill the other person? The other party will even attack Linger and his own Gu family members? It's impossible, absolutely impossible. Guyan would never harm anyone around him. Ling Qingqiu didn't believe it and didn't dare to think about it. Deep in the sea of consciousness, Xiaoling had a complicated expression. A last glimmer of hope, but the price paid was extremely painful. Whether it was Guyan using the dagger rules to break through the realm limits, or Ling Qingqiu using the dagger rules to break through the realm limits, even if either of them breaks through, it will not reverse the outcome of failure. Only if the two work together to utilize the rules to break through the limitations can they get a glimmer of hope. It was impossible for Guyan to kill Ling Qingqiu to break through the limit. So he chose another way, using all the living beings in the world to practice the Abyss Annihilation technique to break through the limit himself. Ling Qingqiu, on the other hand, killed Guyan in order to break through the restrictions. But Guyan also believed that Ling Qingqiu would never kill him. So Guyan chose to continue with his original plan to force Ling Qingqiu to kill him. If successful, all misunderstandings will be resolved. If it fails, then it would be nice to let Ling Qingqiu hate Guyan and forget about him. Xiaoling had a complicated expression. But Guyan's method of not killing Ling Qingqiu in order to break through the realm limit is also one of the many failed endings. By then, Xiaoling sighed inwardly. What a pair of careless guys. It will probably be finished this month. Chapter 423. The controlled Long Yanyan, the vessel prepared for the gods. On this day, everyone remembered the fear they felt when they were dominated by the monster. The clouds dispersed, and a ray of sunlight shone on the devastated city. The ruins of the city were still filled with the aftertaste of blood, and the sounds of yesterday's battle seemed to still echo in the air. Warriors from surrounding cities came one after another to rescue the survivors. The death toll has reached an unprecedented level. It is hard to imagine that this area is guarded by the Warrior Alliance. The warriors from the Warrior Alliance who were heading to the southern islands rushed back one after another after receiving the news. Not surprisingly, Long Tianyun became the person most responsible for the casualties. After all, he mobilized most of his forces to go out and look for the ancient energy, which made the situation irreversible. 3 days later, all the survivors in the city have been found, and the Warrior Alliance has arranged temporary accommodation for them. The surrounding cities also delivered corresponding supplies, and social order was temporarily stabilized. But the relatives, family members and friends who died during this period will never come back. All those who lost their relatives and friends were immersed in an atmosphere of grief. Comments began to appear on the internet that Long Tianyun was not suitable to be the leader of the alliance. And there are more and more of them, and it is impossible to delete them completely. On the contrary, Ling Qingyu's heroic image in this battle spread on the internet, and everyone believed that only Ling Qingyu was suitable to be the leader of their alliance. At this time, in the large conference hall at the Warrior Alliance headquarters, the atmosphere was still tense and serious. Today, the alliance held a large meeting to discuss yesterday's monster invasion and future response strategies. All important warriors and alliance leaders have arrived, all with solemn expressions on their faces. What is intriguing is, the person sitting in the main seat was no longer Long Tianyun, but Ling Qingyu. Because Long Tianyun refused to attend the meeting on the grounds of refining the ancient key. With such a calm reaction, the other party seemed to feel no guilt at all for what happened 3 days ago. Ling Qingyu sat in the main seat, and Gu Yan was always on her mind. In fact, it happened 3 days later, when she discovered that the footage of her fight had been circulated online. Ling Qingyu had already noticed something. From joining the department, to becoming the head of the sword department, to various rumors on the internet about making him the leader, Ling Qingyu seemed to realize that it was Gu Yan who was secretly fanning the flames. The other party's purpose was obviously to make her the leader of the alliance. But why? Why did Gu Yan do this? On the side, a department head saw that everyone was present. So he spoke solemnly, "Dear colleagues, a monster invasion 3 days ago showed us many problems and shortcomings. We need to reflect deeply and find more effective defense and response measures to prevent similar disasters from happening again. We also had members of the monitoring department collect some special energy reactions on site. According to previous database comparisons, we found that traces of the Night King's breath were left at the scene." As soon as these words came out, the expressions of all the members in the audience were serious. Night King, this word is extremely terrifying no matter what era it is. And now, the aura of the Night King appeared at the scene. What this shows? This means that this disaster was most likely caused by the Night King. An older warrior stood up and said in a serious tone, "Minister Hong, this invasion was too sudden. If it was the work of the Night King, it would be very reasonable. I have a guess now. An isolation band has appeared in the ancient martial arts world, and countless monsters have disappeared in the city. Could this also be done by the Night King? Is his purpose to control the monsters?" At this point, another warrior also stood up and echoed, "I agree with this view. Ever since Long Tianyuan was killed by the Night King, isolation restrictions have suddenly appeared in the ancient martial arts world. This is obviously related to the Night King. Now that the presence of the Night King has reappeared at the scene, it is 100% certain that he did it." When these words were spoken, the crowd was outraged. "Damn Night King, he is so cruel and crazy. Yeah, they say they want to wipe out all evil, but they end up destroying cities one after another. The previous monster invasion must have been related to him. What should we do? This is definitely not the first time that monsters will invade. How should we deal with it next time?" The discussion in the meeting room intensified. The minister who had just spoken looked at Ling Qingyu, who had been silent. The respectful one said, "Sir, it is your turn to speak." He is the head of the tactical department and believes that only Ling Qingyu can lead them to victory. He is considered a die-hard fan of Ling Qingyu. Hearing this, Ling Qingyu came to his senses and realized that something had already happened. Then she had no choice but to accept reality. Thinking of this, she spoke softly, and the whole place fell silent in an instant. The invasion of monsters has exposed many problems. Among them, our defense system obviously has many loopholes. We must strengthen the city's fortifications as soon as possible and raise the alert level. As he spoke, Ling Qingyu looked in one direction and said, "Let the array department build a defensive array for the city. In addition, the early warning system for monster invasions also needs to be comprehensively reviewed and improved." "Yes." A head of the magic array department replied quickly. Ling Qingyu nodded and continued, "In addition, we will strengthen patrols and increase the alert level. At the same time, we also need more resources and assistance to support our defense and reconstruction work. Finally, I will add spiritual power to the magic circle to constantly locate and lock onto the monster's aura. Once the monster shows any signs of showing up, an alarm will be sounded immediately. A teleportation array was also immediately improved to ensure the transmission speed. Yes. Orders were issued one by one. Everyone was more convinced that only Leng Qingqiu could lead them. Inside an underground laboratory of the Alliance, Lan Chunyun passed through layers of inspection and entered the center. This place is a huge experimental platform. There are many suspended green containers on the experimental site, each filled with a known liquid, and wrapped in the liquid are deformed half-demons. His eyes calmly swept over the failed products made from the anti-demon weapons experiments. Then he walked straight to a large container device at the innermost part. A figure was stuck with tubes all over his body and was locked inside. Unlike the other failed products, the other party is still conscious at this time. It seemed that he noticed the movement. The figure suddenly opened his eyes. The difference from before was that this time his eyes had become vertical pupils. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Bang! The other party slapped his hands on the wall of the container and said in a hoarse voice, "You lied to us. White Army, accept reality. This is your fate." Lan Qianyun spoke in a flat tone and gestured to the white-coated experimental member standing beside him. The latter nodded, then flipped a switch in front of the container. A moment. Countless green solutions were injected into the bodies of the White Army through tubes. The cries of pain were heard throughout the place. Dai Jun's consciousness began to become blurred, and he looked at Lan Yunyun in front of him. The memories in my mind are getting fewer and fewer. Anti-demon weapon experiment. Turns out this is all true. Sister teacher, Guyen, you must protect them. I don't know how much time has passed. Roar. With a low roar, the White Army in the container lost all consciousness. His body was swollen and no longer had its original appearance. Instead, it became extremely hideous. Sir, the data shows that the White Army's energy has reached the level that only a Grandmaster can achieve. But it's like I have lost my consciousness. The lab members sounded surprised. Hearing this, Lan Qianyun nodded and said lightly, "I understand." The words fell. Rush. A figure appeared beside Lan Qianyun. It was the assassin of Long family ancestor Lan Aotian. He said in a deep voice, "Lan Qianyun, the ancestor asked you to go over." In addition, he looked at the lab members and said, "Make a copy of the anti-demon weapons experimental data." Yes. After a moment, Shadow took the experimental data and disappeared, and the expression of Lan Yunyun gradually became intriguing. "Alright. Now all obstacles have been removed. Don't worry. God will come. I have already prepared a perfect container for you." Chapter 424, How to Kill God. Inside the Long family compound, Lan Aotian was looking through the experimental data in his hands. His expression was calm when he saw that the Bi Army's experimental data showed that the person was a Grand Master. But his body was deformed and unconscious. He snorted coldly, and a ball of fire burned from his palm, turning the data into black ash. They are all a bunch of trash. After so many years of experimentation, Ling Yinyin is the only one who has a perfect and anti-demon weapon. Shadow stood behind Lan Aotian and said in a deep voice, "Sir, in my opinion, although these anti-magic weapons have no consciousness and cannot be controlled, their overall strength is at the level of Grandmasters, so they are not unusable." Hearing this, Lan Aotian didn't say anything, because he had never mentioned to anyone the matter of choosing a container for the gods to descend. Next second, "Grandfather?" A somewhat panicked voice came from the side. Lan Aotian glanced sideways and saw Lan Qianyun standing there with a look of panic on his face. Suddenly his expression became even uglier. He cursed angrily. "You useless piece of shit, you've only been in office for a short time and you've already caused all this trouble. Now, everyone outside is talking about asking you to step down as leader. Even if I send more people to handle the news, it will be impossible to handle it all. Also, Leng Qingqiu's strength data is seriously inaccurate. She definitely can't be just a Grand Master. What's going on?" Hearing this, Lan Qianyun replied timidly, "Grandfather, according to rumors, Leng Qingqiu should be above the Grand Master, and is said to be at the late stage. Post-grade realm?" Lan Aotian's expression changed. "What is this realm? Above the Grand Master? Oh, that's just nonsense." Lan Aotian sneered and said, "Never mind, the situation has reached a point where it is irreversible." So he looked at Lan Qianyun and said coldly, "Hold a press conference immediately. Apologize and announce that Leng Qingqiu will replace you as the leader of the Alliance." As soon as these words came out, Lan Qianyun hesitated. "You loser, do as I say." When everyone thinks Ling Qingqiu can become the leader of the alliance, I will send people to release all the failed anti-demon weapons created over the years. And I will blame all of this on Ling Qingqiu. You will be responsible for killing Ling Qingqiu. And then you will be able to win the hearts of the people again. As soon as these words came out, Long Tianyun was overjoyed. Thank you, grandfather. Also, keep an eye on Lin Yinyin recently and don't let her get hurt. Oh down. Yes. Long Tianyun turned and left. Long Aoti and looked at the back of his descendant who had a trace of his blood. And shook his head in disgust. How could I give birth to such a stupid guy? What everyone doesn't know is, the Long Tianyun at this moment is no longer the Long Tianyun at the beginning. Where no one can see. Long Tianyun's expression gradually changed from panic to calmness and emptiness. Like a puppet controlled by anyone. In the monster-restricted area, Guyan slowly opened his eyes. His expression was extremely calm. All means have been set. All that remains is to wait for the opportunity. He had actually already made a rough guess. The anti-demon weapon experiment suddenly started. However, the ancestors of the three families no longer showed any signs of approaching their end. These situations have already explained the problem. The limits of the world have been raised, and the gods will certainly be able to personally intervene in some way. Their target is him and Ling Qingqiu in order to eliminate the disaster. They can only feel at ease by doing it themselves. So Guyan guessed that the other party most likely wanted to use magic weapons to create a body suitable for descending the spirit. This can be seen from the data of Long Aoti's annoying destruction experiment. After all, in the past, a Grandmaster-level anti-demon weapon that had lost its self-awareness should have been more popular with them. But Long Aotian was still not satisfied. Instead, he was asked to protect Lin Yinyin, an old anti-demon weapon from 100 years ago. Because of the experiment, Lin Yinyin's strength will always be limited to the peak of the Grandmaster level. The three old men have already reached the peak of Grandmaster level, and their lifespans have been increased again. So this is totally inconsistent with the original intention of these three old men to achieve immortality. Well, if one wants a suitable and perfect body, but is not seeking immortality, and combined with the restrictions of the world being elevated, then even gods can go down. All these signs combined, Guyan guessed that it was a god who wanted to descend into reality. Because there are not enough bodies, only one god will descend. I don't know which god that is, but Guyan summoned a dagger and gently swept it across everything in front of him. Under his gaze, the lifelines of countless things appeared before him. As long as I can see the line, even if it is a god, I can definitely kill it. Before that, I need more strength. The Abyss Annihilation technique has been used in various forms and in small portions to certain people with good fortune who have the potential to become the protagonists. And next, I will add fuel to the flames and spread the Abyss Extinction technique throughout the world. Guyan retracted the dagger and took a deep breath. He already felt that his method was effective. Today, he has reached the peak of the Grand Master level, and he is only one step away from entering the later stage. Of course, this level of strength is not enough for a god in the divine realm. And if a god descended upon Lin Yinyin, then he would have a way to kill a god and absorb the god's power. And this opportunity only comes once. Myself must succeed. If the first step fails, then all subsequent plans will be completely overturned. Chapter 425, It's Ling Qingqiu's birthday. Are you wearing colored contact lenses? 3 days later. A sudden press conference interrupted everyone's thoughts. Long Tianyun had only been the leader of the alliance for a month when he chose to abdicate and let Ling Qingqiu take his place as the leader of the alliance. The unaware masses cheered. They believed that Long Tianyun had brought this upon himself and that Ling Qingqiu should be allowed to lead them. Everyone in the department is united and feels that this is the best outcome. Ling Qingqiu's first reaction when he heard the news was that the other party would definitely not be so kind. Really? When Shangguan Mayayin and others came back from undercover and brought information, Ling Qingqiu's expression gradually became gloomy. Anti-demon weapon plan. This is an inhumane plan to use monster genes and humans to create so-called new humans, in order to explore the secret of immortality. Among them Lin Yinyin was the only successful case of this plan 100 years ago. Silver Key was created because of this plan. Shangguan Mayayin said respectfully. Sir, this plan will definitely expose many problems later. And they will definitely blame all the sins on you. Sir, oh. Ling Qingqiu sneered, she thought so too. No wonder they suddenly asked her to be the leader of the alliance. Maybe it was just to find someone to take the blame in the future? It's ridiculous. I have given in again and again. Do you three big families really think that I, Ling Qingqiu, am easy to talk to? Thinking of this, Ling Qingqiu said in a cold voice. Kill all those assassins who are monitoring the sword department. After Long Qianyuan's death, Ling Qingqiu detected the assassins with different auras surrounding the sword-wielding division. She guessed immediately that these assassins were from the three major families. Because their relationship had not yet fallen out, she didn't pay much attention to it for the time being, but now the three major families are obviously targeting her. So she won't give them a good face. First, kill the assassins who are monitoring them, and then find a suitable reason to attack their family. Ling Qingqiu did not forget that the enemies from the ancient martial arts world who attacked the Ling family were all wiped out by Gu Yan. But there are still some in the secular world, among which the three major families are the most powerful families. Moreover, Ling Qingqiu discovered something even more crucial. According to the investigation she asked Clivia to conduct these days, it was discovered that the three major families and the large and small families that attacked the Ling family back then are still connected. What he was planning was also for anti-demon weapon. The experiment requires a large number of test subjects, and these small families have provided the three major families with a steady supply of experimental materials over the years. If this were to be known to the outside world, I'm afraid the three major families and these small families that are accomplices to the evil would all be slaughtered and exterminated. Ling Qingqiu had already thought of a suitable reason to uproot this group of families. According to the news from Clivia, the experiments on the magic weapons have not been completely stopped. Long Qianyun's sudden abdication must have been to hide in the dark and concentrate on conducting anti-demon experiments. Thinking of this, Ling Qingqiu said calmly, "Continue investigating and find decisive evidence of the three major families." Yes. The other side. In the light of hope on the surface, Luoya was reporting on recent developments to someone sitting in the back of the office whom she hadn't seen for a long time. A warrior mall is about to open, and the warrior restaurant is in trial operation. Martial arts retail stores and vending machines of all sizes have also been opened around the world. We also cooperated with the Alliance to provide spiritual food and warrior props that can increase cultivation. As she reported, she looked up at the person in front of her from time to time. The other party seems to be more frightening than before. Guyan nodded slightly and said calmly, "Yeah. We will continue to push forward and ensure that the entire site is paved by the end of next month." Oya nodded, and she looked at Guyan as if she seemed to be hesitant to speak. Guyan seemed to have sensed it. He glanced at Luoya's face and asked calmly, "Anything else? My son recently awakened his true ki and was spotted by Warrior Elementary School. He needs his parents to go through the admission procedures." Luoya said hesitantly that if her parents stepped in, she would definitely have to leave Light of Hope. Although it was short, but if Guyan didn't trust her he probably wouldn't let her go. "Do this," Guyan said calmly. "Okay." Luoya's face lit up with joy, and she quickly thanked him. "Thank you." Guyan did not respond, but stood up and prepared to leave. He has another important thing to do next. However, Luoya called him, "Boss, your eyes. Are you wearing colored contact lenses? They look scary." Brush. Guyan's figure left. Luoya was a little confused. What was wrong with the boss? Inside a luxury car outside the Light of Hope. Brush. Guyan's figure appeared here. He moved his fingers, and the car was enveloped in shadows. He then said expressionlessly, "How's that going?" Lao Gao, who was in the driving seat, started the car and said with a smile, "The things that the young master asked me to do have been arranged properly. I have already placed all the evidence of the three major families colluding with other families to conduct anti-demon weapon experiments in Long Qianyun's office. Just waiting for the young mistress to send someone to search." Hearing this, Guyan nodded slightly. "Well, let's go to the commercial street. Now that this matter has been resolved, what remains is another important matter." "Okay, master." "Speaking of which, master, you haven't been out in the secular world for a long time. Are you suddenly interested?" Lao Chao said with a smile while driving. "The car is wrapped in shadows so it can move freely in space." "Neither." "Oh? Because Ling Qingqiu's birthday will be coming soon." Sizzle. Lao Chao was stunned and the car braked suddenly. He turned around in disbelief and looked at Guyan, who was sitting in the back seat with an expressionless face. "No? You're in this state, and you still remember the young mistress' birthday? Master, if you do this, your previous showdown with the madam will be in vain." Lao Gao remembered that Guyan put on a special show in order to make Ling Qingqiu hate him. "But in this way, young master, aren't you afraid that all your previous efforts will go to waste and that the young mistress will miss you again?" Guyan. He was silent for a while, then slowly said, "This is not a conflict. Besides, the moment I dissipated the dagger, it indicated that Ling Qingqiu would not harbor any resentment towards me, because of my subsequent actions." "Master, are you so confident?" Lao Gao was a little surprised. "You know, what Guyan did was extremely cruel." "Well, because..." Guyan covered his chest and said expressionlessly, "This is the bond between Qingqiu and I." Lao Gao. Young master, how can you say such words with such an expression? Haven't you lost your emotions? Lao Gao suddenly thought of how Gu Yan would be infatuated with Ling Qiyu under normal circumstances. But it be that the young master's feelings for the young mistress in the past were 2? And now 2-1 is still equal to 1. Love is indeed a powerful force. Inside the commercial street, Gu Yan moved among the crowd like a shadow, and no one noticed him during this time. Until he walked into a gift shop. He selected a gift by touch and feel. In front of the counter, the cashier lady was watching short videos out of boredom. At this time, "Hi, I want to buy this." A cold voice came from the front. The cashier lady looked up. I was stunned for a moment. Wow, what a handsome and cool little brother, and his eyes are like messy lines. Brother, are you wearing contact lenses? Gu Yan. He finally understood why Ling Qiyu had kept his eyes closed. Chapter 426, he left after sending her off. What a bad guy. Time passes slowly. Ling Qiyu's reputation has reached an unprecedented level since he became the leader of the alliance. Everyone admired and praised Ling Qiyu's great achievements. During this period, Shangwan Maiyin and others who were stationed in Long Tianyun's camp also found evidence of the 3 major families and large and small families' experiments on magic weapons in the opponent's office. This went so smoothly that Ling Qiyu thought they had put it there on purpose. However, after investigation, it was found that there was nothing wrong with the evidence. Ling Qiyu guessed that it was probably because Long Tianyun and the others were too stupid. Which was why they left the key evidence casually in the office. All that remains is to wait for the right time to strike. At this time, inside the headquarters training ground, sunlight shines through the tall windows onto the floor, interweaving light and shadow, making it appear exceptionally bright. There was a serious atmosphere in the air ever since the last invasion of the Grand Master's monsters. The warriors' training had become more rigorous. Center of the training station, Ling Linger and Ling Yin stood opposite each other. With focused expressions and an intimidating aura, Ling Qiyu stood under the training platform, his hands behind his back, his sharp eyes fixed on every detail on the platform. She could sense every movement and every change in the breath of the 2 people on the stage. Are you ready? Ling Linger asked softly, her eyes gleaming with excitement. Ling Yin nodded and clenched the sword in her hand. We can start anytime. The 2 smiled at each other, and then quickly entered combat mode. Ling Qiyu nodded slightly from the audience and said, "Begin." Following Ling Qiyu's order, the battle is about to begin. Be careful. Ling Linger let out a low shout, and golden light appeared in her body. As she moved, more than a dozen golden dragons circled around her. She held a dragon-patterned sword in her hand, and rushed towards Ling Yin quickly. A strong airflow then emerged here. The other warriors all looked at each other, each with a look of shock. It's actually the great perfection of the 9 transformation divine dragon technique. It's said that every additional dragon represents a deeper mastery of the technique by the practitioner. How come there are already 13 phantoms? How talented is Ling Linger? Yes, no one in history has ever cultivated 13 lines. Minister Lang and Ling Linger, this pair of sisters is a blessing to the human race. At such a young age, he has already reached the peak of the late Xiantian stage. He is only 1 step away from becoming a Grand Master. His future is truly limitless. The other side, Ling Yin used silver true energy, and her body was wrapped in a layer of silver light. Every attack was accompanied by a silver aura, and her reaction was as fast as lightning. Boom! Ding ding ding! 2 figures, 1 gold and 1 silver, collided with each other. Ling Qiyu nodded silently in the audience. Linger's 9 revolutions divine dragon art broke through the limits of other techniques because of the absorption of dragon energy and her own talent. He is truly a genius. If he can break through to the Grandmaster level, he will surely make further progress. On stage, ding ding ding, Ling Linger continued to attack and thrust, accompanied by a golden dragon that pounced straight on Ling Yin. Ling Yin was not in a hurry. She gently turned her body to avoid the fatal blow, and turned her hand and swung her sword. The airblade, with silver true energy, went straight to Ling Linger's abdomen. The 2 men did not hold back because Ling Qiyu was there, ready to intervene at any time. Ling Linger quickly retreated and summoned another golden dragon to block the attack. Inside the training ground, other fighters also stopped their training and gathered around to watch this intense sparring. Time passes. Ling Linger and Ling Yin both accelerated the tempo of attack and defense at the same time. The golden dragon and silver true key intertwined in the air, and the sound of hitting was endless. Ling Qiyu in the audience remained calm and observed to prevent any accidents from happening. Finally, boom! After a burst of sword light in the dragon's intersection, a dazzling light flashed from it. Everyone subconsciously closed their eyes. After a moment, the light dissipated. Ling Linger and Ling Yin withdrew their hands at the same time and stood still. Both of them were breathing heavily, with beads of sweat appearing on their foreheads. Next second, Lang Linger's expression changed and she suddenly covered her chest. Just when everyone thought something unexpected happened. Roar! A low growl came from behind Lang Linger. Then, 5 golden dragons bloomed from behind her and her arose steadily. It's like entering a stage of qualitative change. Boom! With the explosion of powerful breath, 18 golden dragon shadows lingered around Lang Linger. Everyone was stunned. This is another breakthrough. That's great, sis, I'm finally a Grand Master. Lang Linger's face lit up with joy, and she waved excitedly towards Lang Qiyu in the audience. She also walked up to Lin Yinyan, stretched out her hand and rubbed her head vigorously. Chow Yinyan, thank you. Hey, it would be great if I could help Sister Linger. Lin Yinyan blushed and said a little embarrassed lie. Sister Linger, you are awesome. Sister Linger, what are we going to eat tonight? Immediately following, the Quan Lan, Ming Qian, Yun Xing and others who had been watching from the stands also ran up and surrounded Lang Linger in a circle. Not only them but also some girls from the ancient martial arts world who were captivated by Linger's charm. Lang Qiyu felt this harmonious scene and nodded with satisfaction. Linger's popularity is surprisingly good. Oh no, today is an important day, so I can't go out with you guys. Lang Linger shook her hands and said, today is my elder sister's birthday. How could I go out and hang out with you guys? Hey, Sister Linger. How could it be? Everyone was disappointed. I finally managed to escape from the crowd. Lang Linger pulled Ba Quan Lan, Ning Qian, Yun Xing and Lin Yin to Lang Qiyu. He asked with a smile, Sister, are you coming home for dinner tonight? Upon hearing this, Lang Qiyu immediately understood what day it was today. April 1st. Her birthday. So Lang Qiyu reached out and rubbed Lang Linger's head. Okay, I'll cook. Sister, forget it today, we are already prepared. When Lang Linger heard that her sister wanted to cook, she wondered if this was possible. She seemed to have thought of something and asked again. By the way, sister, have you contacted your brother-in-law recently? I can't get through on the phone here either. Lang Qiyu fell silent after hearing this. Gu Yan. Seeing that my elder sister was silent, Lang Linger immediately changed the subject. Brother-in-law should be busy, so let's not call him. Let's keep you company. Damn you bastard Gu, where on earth have you been? My sister has been in a bad mood recently. It must be because you don't come to accompany her. After hearing this, Lang Qiyu calmed down and stopped thinking about Gu Yan. She smiled and nodded, okay. It's better to change your mood and stop thinking about Gu Yan for the time being. That evening, although Lang Qiyu was trying not to think about Gu Yan, but while listening to Lang Linger and others blessing her and singing birthday songs in her ears, she still couldn't help but think, it would be great if Gu Yan was here too. She showed no sign of abnormality, and the evening ended in a harmonious and cheerful atmosphere. The 4 girls bought a big birthday cake for Lang Qiyu. After eating and drinking, Lang Linger and the other 3 girls squeezed together on the sofa to watch TV and chat. Lang Qiyu didn't eat much after she finished cleaning up. She walked towards the study. This was the only place where she could find peace of mind. I vaguely remember that I was also in the study room at the time. He revealed his true feelings to Gu Yan. My first kiss was also given to Gu Yan in the study. This study room contains too many memories of myself and Gu Yan. However, Lang Qiyu's mind flashed through Gu Yan's cold and indifferent look after he was eroded by the power of the night. But she couldn't help but feel extremely painful in her heart. Gu Yan, what exactly happened that has forced you and me to this point? Lang Qiyu went upstairs with a heavy heart. She gently pushed open the door of the study and entered. As soon as she entered, she noticed something strange. First of all, the study was very cold, like an ice cellar. Secondly, on the desk, there was a large object that looked very strange to Lang Qiyu. It looks like a doll. Lang Qiyu was confused. Could it be Linger? This shouldn't be the case. Linger gave me the gift a long time ago. Could it be? A figure flashed through Lang Qiyu's mind, and a surge of excitement surged in her heart. She hurried forward and reached out to feel the object. The moment, she knew what it was. Yes, Puff. Lang Qiyu was pinching a large Puff doll, which felt very good. She squeezed it hard and the toy cream inside the Puff doll came out. Once you let go, it will be taken back again. Lang Qiyu couldn't help but raise the corners of her mouth slightly, and she touched a card next to the Puff. The card is thick and hard, like Braille. Lang Qiyu groped over and translated the content. Her heart trembled violently, because the content on the card is, Happy Birthday. Both the Puffs and the cards bear the scent of Gu Yan. Did this guy stay behind on purpose to tell her that it was sent by him? Lang Qiyu reached out, hugged Puff in his arms, and buried his face in hers. An almost inaudible sound slowly emerged in the room. You just left after delivering the gift. What a bad guy. Chapter 427. Everything is under control. Inside the Long family compound, the expression on Long Aotian's face turned extremely ugly. What? All the assassins stationed in the sword division have disappeared. The shadow of the black-robed man behind him bent down slightly and said in a heavy tone. Yes, sir, I guess it is very likely that Leng Qiyu has cleaned it up. Snort. Hearing this, Long Aotian snorted coldly, and his eyes became extremely gloomy. Good, good, what a cold and clear autumn. Since you don't give me face, there's no need for me to continue trying to win you over. His voice was sinister. I heard that Leng Qiyu has a younger sister. Yes, her name is Leng Linger. She inherited the position of the Dragon King Palace's master. She is extremely talented, and now she has just broken through to the Grandmaster level. Another breakthrough. Long Aotian became even more jealous. Considering her age, Leng Linger was not even 20 years old. Right? But he has already become a master. I thought that I had to be 24 years old to break through to the Grandmaster level. But now, I have been surpassed by a junior. Shadow seemed to have sensed his master's complicated mood. So he quickly said, Master, this is all because the concentration of true energy in the world has increased. Which allowed a little girl to take advantage in terms of talent. You are definitely the most talented person in the world. As soon as these words came out, only then did Long Aotian feel better. Come to think of it, when he was young, he was an unrivaled strong man. A child of destiny, he directly suppressed an entire era. And what's the use of this? A peak of Grandmaster is the end of cultivation. And it was impossible for anyone to break through to Grandmaster at that time. Not to mention, what if there is a breakthrough? In front of truly powerful beings. Human power always seems so insignificant. Long Aotian still remembers the time when he howled one night about the injustice of heaven. All this cultivation was shattered by the cold snort from the sky. From then on, he witnessed the power of the gods, so he understood that humans would be doomed sooner or later. Only by joining the camp of gods can one obtain eternal life and survive in this world. The ambitions and ideals I had when I was young have long been wiped out. Now he just wants to survive. Because he knew that this world would be destroyed by God sooner or later. So what if he is a dog? He, Long Aotian, wants to be the most loyal dog of God. The world changes drastically, and the gods go to hell. He must demonstrate his value during this period. So, he said coldly, send someone to capture Leng Linger. This girl has good talent, maybe she can become the second successful case of the anti-demon weapon experiment. There is another sentence he keeps in his heart. If Leng Linger can succeed in the experiment, then, I will beg the gods to let me reincarnate into Leng Linger's young body, so that I can obtain her cultivation talent. Yes. The assassins were about to retreat. However, Long Aotian stopped him and said, wait a minute. Leng Qiyu is very careful if he takes action in Zhanghae City. He will definitely be noticed. How about this ISN, Lin Yin very close to Leng Linger? I'll give you the control of Lin Yin, and the rest. You should be able to understand. The assassin took the control device handed over by Long Aotian and responded respectfully. I understand. Rush. The assassins left. Long Aotian's eyes also became fierce. Leng Qiyu, don't be happy too soon. Soon you will once again experience the pain of the death of your only few relatives. And the Gu family actually dared to refuse my solicitation. One or two of them don't take me seriously. In the monster-restricted area. My lord, this is Long Aotian's entire plan. A black-robed figure stood respectfully behind Gu Yan. If Long Aotian was here, he would be shocked to find that this person was none other than his most trusted assassin Shadow. Oh, that old guy wants to attack Leng Linger. Gu Yan played with a silver core in his hand. His tone slightly cold. Besides Linger, who else is within his reach? Upon hearing this, Shadow replied, there is also the Leng family's patriarch. Leng Xingayin's family, and the Gu family. Hear this. Gu Yan nodded slightly and threw the core to Shadow. His eyes showed a hint of indifference. I understand. Just do as he says. Yes, sir. Brush. The Shadow left. Gu Yan opened his palms and tentacles floated away along with the cracks in space. This can transport the souls of Leng Xingayin's family away at the critical moment. As long as their souls are preserved, they can all be resurrected in the end. In fact, the three major families would never have thought of it in their dreams. All the dead warriors in their family, all of them have been secretly controlled by him. Their every move was in his eyes. In order for Leng Qiyu to make up his mind to destroy the three major families and gain prestige, some key figures must die. Leng Linger can't die yet. So Leng Xingayin's family is the best sacrifice. Everything will be fine. This process will be as easy as a good night's sleep. At this time, as a cool breeze spread around, Leng Bingning walked out. He looked at Guyan and noticed that he was colder and more powerful than before. He frowned and said, "You're looking for me." Guyan didn't look back, but said calmly, "Your next task is to join the Warrior Alliance and cooperate with Lang Qingqiu to complete the task of wiping out the 3 major families. When necessary, reveal your identity to Lang Qingqiu." Lang Bingning's expression changed. "What do you want to do? Do you want me to leave the monster-restricted area? Then you..." The words haven't finished yet. Guyan interrupted the other party. "You don't need to get involved in what happens next." As he spoke, a tentacle floated over Lang Bingning's shoulder and gradually disappeared. Guyan said calmly, "If something unexpected happens, this tentacle will transfer your soul to a safe place. When the dust settles, everything will be over. If it succeeds, everyone will wake up as if it was a beautiful dream. If you fail, the whole world will be restarted and destroyed." The more Lang Bingning listened, the heavier her heart became. She looked at Guyan's back and clenched her fists tightly. "You are only making Qingqiu more miserable by doing this. Why don't you take the initiative to explain the situation to her?" "No, because I believe that if Qingqiu knew the truth, she would choose to stand with me." "Isn't this a good thing?" Lang Bingning couldn't understand Guyan's train of thought. "This is not a good thing." Guyan turned around, closed his eyes, and said calmly, "If we do this, Lang Qingqiu and I will once again face destruction. Only if the two of us break through together and become the strongest in the world can we have a chance of survival. The coming of God is imminent. He can improve his strength to the point where he can fight against gods in a short period of time. But Lang Qingqiu couldn't do that. There wasn't enough time for her to develop quickly. This is just like the Night King back then. Every time, the gods would destroy the other party before the Night King could fully develop. Therefore, the only way for Lang Qingqiu to break through the realm limit is to kill him, and then use his heart blood to grow to the peak of the realm in this world. Of course, before that, if Guyan cannot grow to the strength to deal with gods, everything that comes after will be empty talk. A world will be restarted, and he and Lang Qingqiu will most likely be completely wiped out from this world. Just as it was said in memory. This is the last time. Chapter 428 Death of Lang Xing'an. That night, Zhangye City. In an ordinary residential area, Lang Xing'an, the official head of the Lang family, rushes home to be with his wife and daughter as soon as he finishes a day's work. "Dad, when can we go play with Sister Linger?" A little girl was held above Lang Xing'an's head, and she was laughing happily. "Lang Linger, she is a master now. As ordinary people like us, let's not go looking for them. My eldest niece Lang Qingqiu handed the company over to me, and I have to manage it well." After Lang Xing'an finished muttering in his heart, he nodded on the surface. "Then during the new year this year, let's go to the Lang family to play with Sister Linger and Sister Qingqiu. Okay? And Guyan, you probably haven't met your Sister Qingqiu's husband yet, right?" "Yeah, great." At this time, a dignified woman came out of the kitchen. She untied her apron and looked at the interaction between Lang Xing'an and her daughter with great joy. She smiled gently and said, "Xing'an, you've been busy all day. Why don't you watch some TV with Yuanayan and take a break? No need playing with Yuanayan makes me feel a lot younger." Lang Xing'an put his daughter down and scratched the back of his head happily. He was one of the only 3 survivors of the Lang family. The rest of the people were all slaughtered in the Lang family's old house. What happened that night was a memory he would never forget. That's why he understood what kind of pressure Lang Qingqiu was carrying. Therefore, he has to manage the Lang family business well. Now that Guyan is with the other party, he can finally put his mind at ease. "I am just an ordinary person and I just want to live a peaceful life with my wife and children." Before this, he had never introduced his family to Guyan, Lang Qingqiu and others. It's not impossible to celebrate the new year this year. Just thinking of this, Lang Xing'an looked up at his wife and said with a smile, "By the way, let's go out for dinner tomorrow night." Puff. The words haven't finished yet. A chilling feeling came over him. He was stunned. He looked down subconsciously and found that a long knife had stabbed into his chest at some point. A feeling of numbness came over me. What is happening? Lang Xing'an turned his head stiffly behind him. Several figures in black robes appeared at some point. Who is it? He couldn't figure it out, and couldn't think again. There were cries and curses. But it was all in vain. Just a moment. Lang Xing'an's family of 3 were slaughtered by the assassins. 3 assassins stood beside the body, and one of them waved his hand. The other 2 immediately cleaned up the mess at the scene. They threw a bottle of medicine on the bodies of Lang Xing'an and the other 2, and their injuries were healed instantly. Turn on the gas stove again. Only 3 bodies were left lying quietly in the living room, perfectly disguised as gas poisoning. Early the next morning, the information that Lang Xing'an's family was murdered was passed to Lang Qingqiu. When she finished listening to the report from her subordinates, She raised her head expressionlessly, her pure white eyes fixed on the subordinate in front of her. You mean died of gas poisoning? Yes, whether it's a forensic doctor or a martial doctor. The test results are the same. The subordinate swallowed and stood there, not daring to move. Shangguan Maiyan signaled the latter to leave. Blick. As the door closed, only Shangguan Maiyan and Leng Qingqiuyu were left in the office. An invisible pressure filled the room. The former stepped forward and said in a deep voice, Master, this was definitely done by the three major families. Because we killed their assassins. This is a warning and a provocation from them to us. Leng Qingqiuyu certainly knew. Murderous intent surged in her heart. Leng Xing'an is her uncle and one of the few relatives she has in this world. However, but he was killed by the three major families. It was also disguised as gas poisoning. Such a ridiculous thing. The three major families. Leng Qingqiuyu murmured softly, trying hard to suppress her murderous intent. No, if it were in the past, I could do it at any time. But not now. Everyone knows that Leng Linger is her sister and Gu Yan from the Gu family is her lover. Now that she has lost the power of the night, her only means of attack is mental power. No matter how covert it is, clues will be discovered. If she acted rashly, it would only implicate Linger and the Gu family. The three major families handled this incident very secretly. I can't find a reason to attack them. Damn. Leng Qingqiuyu really wanted to find his original self who possessed the power of the night, so that he could disguise himself as the Night King and slaughter all three major families. But reality told her that she couldn't do that. She had to find a suitable reason, and the anti-demon weapon experiment was the reason for her action. However, this evidence is not enough for her to take action. She must wait until the three major families use their anti-demon weapons. In this way she can catch the criminals red-handed and clean up all the families at once. Master, should we take action? Shangguan Maiyan asked cautiously from the side. Leng Qingqiuyu took a deep breath, clenched her fists tightly, and suppressed the murderous intent in her heart. Wait for the opportunity. She rubbed her brows and sighed softly. I will go and arrange the funeral of Leng Xing'an's family first. As if thinking of something, Leng Qingqiuyu looked up at Shangguan Maiyan and said, arrange some people to protect Linger. Since we have already guessed that this was done by the three major families, we must take precautions. That's right, Leng Linger is very likely the next target of the three major families. Yes. Shangguan Maiyan nodded and left. Leng Qingqiuyu covered her face and tried to calm herself down. Three major families, I must kill you. From now on, she will always pay attention to the movements around Linger. Once there is danger, she will move directly to the other side to resolve the crisis. And there is the Gu family just in case, I have to pay more attention to them. At this time, inside the Warrior Alliance training ground, Leng Linger has not yet received the news of her uncle's family's death. Because she was stopped by Lin Yin was talking about something mysteriously. What, you mean we're going to the next city next week? After hearing this, Leng Linger looked eager to try. Wow, you know what, this is quite exciting. Lin Yin nodded with a smile. Yes, Sister Linger, it is said that the neighboring Linhai city is a famous tourist destination with all kinds of fun things to do. How about going? Hearing this, Leng Linger was about to answer. And then the next second, Slinger, Shangguan Maiyan came over. Leng Linger looked at it and immediately became happy. Sister Shangguan. Slinger, I have some news to tell you. Shangguan Maiyan first glanced at Lin Yin, then pulled Leng Linger aside and whispered to her. That's it. After a moment, Leng Linger's originally cheerful expression gradually turned into one of disbelief. Leng Xing'an, my uncle and his family are dead. How could? In an instant, the joyful mood disappeared. She said to Lin Yin in a depressed mood. I'm sorry Yin, I may not be able to go next week. After that, she pulled Shangguan Maiyan towards Leng Qingqiuyu's office. Sister Shangguan, I have to go ask my sister what's going on with this matter. The two figures left. Lin Yin's eyes gradually became empty. Chapter 429, Annexing the Secular Industries of the Three Major Families. Inside the Long family compound. Sir, Leng Xing'an's family has been dealt with. Leng Qingqiuyu and the Gu family have arranged a funeral for them. At the moment, it seems that she has realized that it was us who did it. But because she has no evidence, she has not taken any action. As for Leng Linger, I have already controlled Lin Yin and am planning to lure her out of John H.A. But due to the death of Leng Xing'an's family, Leng Linger is not very interested. Because of this, Leng Qingqiuyu also increased the number of guards around Leng Linger. Long Aotian seemed to be in a very good mood as he listened to the reports from his subordinates. He looked happy, and placed a black chess piece on the chessboard. No problem, this gradual effect is what we want. Whether it's a week or a month, Leng Linger must be tricked out of John H.A. without being suspected. Go down, and let Lin Yinyan follow up. Yes. The shadow left. And Long Yaotian's expression also became very happy. Leng Qingqiu, Leng Qingqiu, this is the consequence of going against the three major families. Leng Xing'an is just an appetizer. Next, you will experience your relatives, lovers, friends, the pain of dying one after another. Leng Lingers seemed extremely important to her, so she would stay until the end. Next, Long Aotian sneered and moved his fingers to transmit a message to the other two families. I have already killed Leng Qingqiu's relatives, so let the rest of the Gu family be dealt with by the Situ family and the Yu family. Also, for the sake of the Lord God, these two families must do something practical. Especially the eldest son of the Gu family, Gu Yan, must also die. If you wanna blame someone, blame Leng Qingqiu, who made you her lover. 3 days later, within the ray of hope that the Gu family radiates, Otso was frowning and looking at a man sitting on a sofa with a weird expression. He crossed his legs and glanced at Woya's body wantonly. Principal Wo, your Gu family's business is getting bigger and bigger. It is said that warrior shops and warrior restaurants are being opened all over the world. In the room, besides him, there were some powerful, serious bodyguards in black. Woya frowned and said coldly, Situ Yun, first of all, I am not a member of the Gu family. I am just managing these businesses for my boss. Secondly, I didn't receive any signal from the boss inviting you over. Situ Yun is the eldest son of the Situ family. He sneered, why should I tell a young master from a small family that I am here? Oh, no, it is said that our young master Gu has taken over the family and become the head of the family, right? As he said this, he deliberately looked around and shouted, why, he doesn't dare to come to see me. Oya clenched her fists after hearing this. She suppressed her anger and said coldly, Situ Yun, what do you want to do? If you want to insult my boss here, then I'll ask you to leave. What's going on? In fact, during these 3 days, she had already discovered some clues. For example, the Situ family and the Yu family, the two oldest and most powerful warrior families, actually sent people to secretly investigate the Gu family's assets. They even interfered with the progress of Gu's business investment. What do I want to do? I'm just here to give a reminder to Gu Yan from your Gu family. Situ Yun stood up and said with an arrogant smile, sometimes it is very important to stand on the right side. Tell your boss not to be stubborn, in order to prevent yourself from being implicated by the entire clan. Let's go. The words fell. Situ Yun called upon all the assassins in the room to leave. Oh, Ya clenched her fists, feeling a little troubled. The boss has offended the three major families? Ordinary people don't know. But Master Ya knows that the Situ family, the Yu family, and the Long family are the three most powerful families in the world. Their antiquity can be traced back thousands of years, and the three major families have a very good relationship and together control the economic lifeline of the world. Even the masters behind the alliance are them. In order to consolidate their position, the three major families even created an organization called Spirit. Each member of the organization started out as a Grand Master and is very powerful. However, their boss actually provoked them? This is trouble. Just as Woya was thinking this, a mutation occurred. Just as Situ Yun took one step out of the door, puff, the assassin behind him suddenly drew out a sharp blade and slashed at the opponent's neck in an instant. Crash! The head fell to the ground and blood gushed out from the gap. Situ Yun is dead. Woya, who was still thinking about the pros and cons, was stunned for a moment, and then a look of horror appeared on her face in an instant. What's happening? Situ Yun was killed by his assassins. It happened so fast and so suddenly that Woya couldn't even recover. And at this time, what the hell? Tentacles appeared from Situ Yun's body, accompanied by gnawing sounds. Situ Yun's body was completely devoured. Immediately following, the tentacles began to swell and gather in the blink of an eye. And they gathered together again in front of Woya and became another Situ Yun. Moreover, even the expressions and demeanor are exactly the same. At this time, brush, the assassins and even Situ Yun turned around and knelt on one knee in the direction of Woya. Hey, wait, what's going on with you guys? Woya was a little confused. But she quickly reacted. She turned her head and looked. Just see. They don't know one. Gu Yan, wearing a black robe and with a calm expression, stood behind her to the right. Woya looked at Gu Yan, who had an expressionless face, and then looked at the Situ family's assassins. She suddenly understood. You have controlled the Situ family's assassins for a long time? You also killed Situ Yun. Aren't you afraid of being discovered and retaliated by the three major families? Woya's tone was a little shocked. This guy, is he really not afraid of death? However, Gu Yan just walked forward and said calmly, the three major families have already set their sights on the Gu family. They won't let anyone in the Gu family go, including you and me. Controlling them is just my anticipation of the decisions of the three major families. Next, I want you to do something. As he spoke, Guyan picked up a USB drive and placed it on Woya's desk. Oya looked at the USB drive and was a little confused. You don't want me to do anything that will affect the interests of the three major families, do you? Yeah, that would kill you. If we don't, we will all die, and your son will die first. Why? Woya's tone suddenly became panic. Because, Guyan opened his eyes, stared at Loya with his oppressive and chaotic eyes, and said slowly, the warrior primary school your child attends is invested by the three major families. It's no coincidence that your child awake and they had long thought of using your child to make you betray me internally. It's a pity that they don't think that you can't even decide whether to live or die by yourself. Hear this. Owoya's face turned pale. She clenched her fists and lowered her head to look at the USB flash drive. After a moment, she nodded fiercely. Boss, don't worry. In 1 month at the latest, there will only be our Gu family's assets in this world. Owoya agreed. She is actually not afraid of death. She is just afraid that her child will have an accident. She had never come into contact with the three major families, but she was very familiar with Gu Yan. So she chose to believe Gu Yan and believe that Gu Yan would protect her child. Because she always remembered what Gu Yan said. He never treats his own people unfairly. The USB drive contains all the information you need. Just do it, because... Gu Yan raised his hand, and a black shadow wrapped around the Siddha family and teleported them away. His tone was calm. I have prepared everything for you. All the industries of the three major families and all the members of them, big and small, were implanted with claw cells by him. All of them became beings that obeyed his orders. In the eyes of the three major families, the industries in the secular world are just props for them to live a luxurious life. Therefore, it is natural that they would not send precious resources, such as death warriors, to manage the industry. Furthermore, with such a huge industry, they don't have to worry about collapse. And Guyan is taking advantage of the other party's mentality. He has replaced the key figures of the three major families from top to bottom with his own people. With the industries of three major families, the rest of the industries will naturally be swallowed up by him. As a result, people all over the world will only use products produced by Gujie. 1 month later, the first step of his plan to slay gods will be fully realized. Chapter 430 Furious Long Aotin. A week later, something happened that shocked the whole world. The industries of the three major families collectively signed a low-price transfer agreement and sold them all to the Gu family. This news was like a bombshell, quickly causing an uproar in the global business community. Major media outlets rushed to report on the event. Market analysts speculated on the reasons behind it. And investors also responded in various ways in a short period of time. Stock markets around the world fluctuated in response. The stock prices of companies related to the three major families plummeted, while the stocks of Gu's industries soared in a short period of time. Soon, everyone discovered an even more terrifying phenomenon. In the stock market, as the three major family businesses were swallowed up by the Gu family, a category of warrior stocks was also created. The warrior industry has officially entered the public eye. This means that all previous industries will be overturned. And from now on it will definitely be the world of warriors. Alliance headquarters. Ling Qiyu stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window in the office with a serious expression. She already knew about the changes in the Gu family and the transfer of industries of the three major families. In other words, it is impossible that no one knows about such a big thing. This series of events did not make her feel relieved. It instead made her feel vaguely uneasy. The three major families. Why do you do this? How did Guyan do it? And why did he do it at this critical moment? Just as she was lost in thought, there was a gentle knock on the office door. Come in. Ling Qiyu came back to his senses. Changwan Mayayan walked in. Her expression solemn. Master, it has been confirmed that the three major families have indeed transferred their industries to the Gu family. There must be some big conspiracy behind this. We have found some clues. Ling Qiyu nodded, motioning for her to continue. According to our investigation, the three major families have recently encountered a large number of financial problems and internal conflicts, and these problems seem to have suddenly erupted in a short period of time. During this period, the Gu family quickly took over these industries through a series of sophisticated business operations and legal means. But Master, Changwan Mayayan said in a heavy tone, how could the Gu family have the strength to take over so many industries? There must be someone behind this. When Ling Qiyu heard this, she pondered for a moment. Is Guyan the driving force behind this? If it was him, how did he do it? The three major families should not give up their roots in the secular world. Could it be that Guyan made some kind of deal with the people from the three major families? But as soon as this thought came to his mind, Ling Qingqiu shook his head. No, since the three major families have taken action against Ling Xing'an, they will also take action against the Gu family. But now this situation makes Ling Qingqiu a little confused. Are the three ancestors of the three major families all idiots? It was so easy for Gu Yan to get all the properties. Or is there really some unspeakable secret? Changwan Maiyin looked at her master in deep thought. After thinking for a moment, she couldn't help but say, "Master, is it Gu Yan who betrayed?" "No." Ling Qingqiu interrupted coldly. She believed in Gu Yan and knew that he would never go along with the three major families. But what is going on now? Ling Qingqiu was a little confused about what Gu Yan had done. At this time, inside the Long family compound, Long Aotin was tasting the new tea that was delivered this morning. However, after taking a sip, he frowned slightly and asked in a dissatisfied tone, "What's wrong with this tea today? Why is there a strange smell?" The family member who was delivering the tea bowed slightly and replied in a fearful tone, "Master, the tea we used to drink has run out. Just have someone bring it back when you're done drinking." "Do I need to teach you this? That's because no one came to see me off." As soon as these words came out, Long Aotin frowned and looked displeased. In the past, all kinds of precious teas were offered to him by other families. What happened this time? You can't even understand these rules? He snorted coldly and tapped the armrest. "Teach Mr. Zhang a lesson." In the past, his favorite tea to drink was the tea produced by the Zhang family. If they don't know the rules, then let our subordinates make them understand who is their master. However, the most obedient subordinate on weekdays. At this moment he lowered his head, knelt on the ground with a thud, and said in a trembling voice, "Master, our Long family is no longer the same Long family." "What's the meaning?" Long Aotin's face darkened, and he suddenly realized the seriousness of the matter. "Master, all of our Long family's assets have been transferred to the Gu family. This matter has already spread all over the internet. Everyone thinks that the Long family is finished. Now all the servants, big and small, have fled from the Long family." As soon as these words came out, Long Aotin stood up suddenly, with murderous intent emanating from his body. "What did you say?" He reached out and grabbed the top of the head of the person who was speaking, and roared, "Who allowed you to do this, and who blocked the news?" "Yes, it's Master Yan Yun." "Long Tianyun? You are so brave." "Phew." Long Aotin crushed the head of the person who spoke. His eyes were filled with murderous intent, and he had long since sensed the boy's evil ambitions. But he didn't expect that he would sell out the Long family without telling him. Gu family, whose idea was it? Could it be old lady Gu from the Gu family? Damn, what about the other families? I don't know, don't they know either? It can't be. Long Aotin thought of a possibility. That is, the two old monsters from the other two families, in order to monopolize the reward from the Lord God, united together to bring down his Long family. Damn it. He immediately sent a message to his most trusted assassin. Rush. A shadowy figure appeared. Long Aotin suppressed his anger and asked, "Why didn't you report such an important matter to me?" Shadow bowed his head and replied respectfully, "Sir, you once said that you don't need to be informed of any industry issues in the secular world. In addition, young Master Tianyun is the patriarch of the Long family, so I also regard his decision as yours. More importantly, I am monitoring Ling and Ling Yin, and I just found out what happened in the secular world." As soon as these words came out, Long Aotin's face turned blue and red. He always felt that he was superior to others and believed that entertainment facilities or industries in the secular world were external things, so he never paid much attention to them. And damn it, Shadow is an absolutely loyal warrior trained by him personally and will definitely not betray him. So the problem lies with Long Yanyan. Okay, since that's the case, don't blame me for going on a killing spree. He asked coldly, "What about the other two families?" Reporting to the Lord. It seems the situation is the same as that of the Long family. Hear this. Long Aotin felt a little better. At least he knew that the two old guys did not join forces. So what is going on here? Does Gu Yan from the Gu family have such means? No, it won't. Long Aotin's face darkened. This must be Ling Qingqiu's trick. He had long heard that the other party was extremely talented and had incredible intelligence. After Ling Qingqiu became the leader of the alliance, he had access to more things. The other party cannot just turn against them and attack them. So let Gu Yan use the Gu family to swallow up their family business. More importantly, it turned out that Long Tianyun had betrayed him a long time ago, otherwise he would not have been so out of touch with the news. After all, he never went online. Damn it. This approach cannot harm the most important foundation of their Long family, which is the power of warriors. But it also disgusted Long Aotin a bit. Go kill Long Tianyun. I'm going out for a while. After Long Aotin finished giving his orders, his figure flashed and disappeared in an instant. He was going to find those two old guys to discuss the next plan. Of course, apart from the depressed feeling of having his home robbed, he was actually fine. Firstly, he doesn't care much about worldly things. Secondly, as long as the gods descend to this world, not to mention these industries, even the entire world will belong to their three major families. Oh, Ling Qiyu and Guyan, don't be happy too soon. Sooner or later, I will make you spit out all these things. Chapter 431. The god reappears. Is Ling Qiyu really the next generation? In the monster-restricted area, in front of a black stat pool formed by the power of night, Guyan stood here. He moved his hands slightly, and black energy was transmitted through them. In Tian Kai Lake, there are many black cocoons, each of which is trembling slightly, as if it is nurturing some horrible life. Immediately following, Lao Kiao appeared behind Gu Yan and said, "Master, the businesses of the three major families have all been taken over by the Gu family, and the ancestors of the three major families have also discovered this situation. Currently the three of them have disappeared after the meeting." Gu Yan heard this and replied calmly, "Okay. Next, we can start the next step of the plan. Prepare to take over the experiment of anti-demon weapons. Build a bigger stage for the subsequent drama." Lao Gao nodded and replied, "Okay, master." In a mysterious secret room, the ancestors of the Long family, Long Aotian, the Situ family, Situ Guan, and the Yu family, Yu Wen Chu O, all sat at a round table with grim expressions. Long Aotian's expression was gloomy. "You two don't know either." Situ Guan nodded and snorted coldly. "I don't care much about the products of the secular world. If the servant hadn't come these days, I'm afraid I would have been kept in the dark by this guy Sidian until now." As soon as these words came out, Yu Wen Chu O grieved deeply. His eyes narrowed slightly, and his tone was full of murderous intent. "I never thought that my descendants would team up to deceive me. It's actually harmless to sell off the family business. After all, it won't hurt our foundation. But this kind of betrayal really makes me feel like I've been played a fool. Gu family, what a great Guyan, this must have been Ling Qiu's idea. I just don't know why my descendants would be bought off by these two." Speaking of this, Long Aotian interrupted and snorted. "Why else wouldn't you do understand? In the past, we still had a certain amount of prestige, and now that Ling Qiu has taken office, the younger generation of the clan has seen a glimmer of hope." So, there was a chill in his eyes, and he said coldly, "Only then would you want to join Ling Qiu's faction and get rid of the three of us old monsters together." After hearing this, Situ Guan frowned and said, "Ha! Ridiculous, how can they be so confident that they can get rid of me and others by joining Ling Qiu? Rumor has it that Ling Qiu has reached a realm higher than the Grand Master, called the Post-Grandmaster realm. Could it be that this is the confidence of the betrayer?" Long Aotian shook his head. "The late stage, this is probably a fake stage fabricated by Ling Qiu in order to consolidate his position. It's just to fool some fools. In my opinion." Long Aotian's eyes flashed with murderous intent. And he said coldly, "Since we have already started fighting openly and secretly, why not stop our descendants from escaping from our control tonight?" Situ Guan and Yu Wenchuo looked at each other after hearing this. "You mean tonight we kill Ling Qiu?" Long Aotian nodded, clenched his fists, and said fiercely, "That's right. Kill Ling Qiu, and all troubles will be solved. The alliance is ours, and the family is still ours. When the Lord God descends to the world, this world will also be ours. No strategy is better than breaking all the laws with one's own force. Kill Ling Qiu, take back the secular world's industries, and use prestige to guide public opinion and control information. In this way, no one will know that Ling Qiu's death was the result of an assassination." Hearing this, the two looked at each other. The three of them had just broken through to the Grand Master level with the help of the Lord God's power. If the three Grand Masters attack together, they won't be afraid of not being able to defeat Ling Qiu. However, just when they felt that this method was feasible, "Oh, stupid!" an arrogant voice that seemed to be not from this world appeared in this secret room. The three people's expressions changed. Without even bothering to think about their plans, they all knelt on the ground in a hurry. They put their heads on the ground and said in trembling voices, "Welcome, welcome to the Lord God." Next second, boom! A breath of death filled the secret room and gathered into a cloud of black smoke. In an instant, a human skull with no flesh and blood, only bones, formed above the heads of the three people. The realm above the Grand Master is the latter stage. Ling Qiu is not an opponent that you idiots can handle. After all, the possessions of mortals are external to the body. When I succeed in descending to the gods, I will take them and give them to you as a reward. What you three idiots have to do next is to find a suitable body for me. To deal with Ling Qiu, I'd better wait until I descend to the heavens and do it myself. His voice was arrogant, which frightened the ancestors of the three major families. It is hard to imagine that the ancestors of the three major families who are able to call the shots outside can only bow their heads in front of this existence. Yes, sir? We will definitely find your body as soon as possible. Rush. The breath dissipated. The gods retreated. The three of them knelt for a while before standing up one by one with pale faces. They looked at each other, and saw shock in each other's eyes. There is indeed a realm above the Grand Master. How can Lang Qiqiu enter the upper level? Her talent is so terrifying. After receiving confirmation from the gods, the three of them also felt a sense of fear. Lang Qiqiu's strength is so strong. Yet they still want to go against him? But it doesn't matter. According to what the god said, he would wait until he descended to the sky to deal with Lang Qiqiu. Long Aotian, you have been following up on the matter of the anti-demon weapon. When will the results be available? If all else fails, then just use Lin Yinyan's body. Sitibwan looked at Long Aotian. The latter's expression changed slightly. He has his own ideas. He was favored by the Lord God because of his talent in suppressing the times. And Lang Qiqiu is already on the god's kill list. Then isn't Lang Linger the one with a higher talent than him in this world? They are indeed sisters, each one has more terrifying talents than the other. If the god descends to earth and takes a liking to Lang Linger's talent, he will recruit her into his fold. And his status would plummet. And he might even be killed by Lang Linger because of Lang Qiqiu. Therefore, he must turn Lang Linger into an anti-demon weapon before the Lord God descends. If successful, he would beg God to let him reincarnate into Lang Linger. If that doesn't work, letting the god descend upon Lang Linger would also be a way to eliminate a hidden danger for himself. Of course the Lord God is so powerful, he shouldn't look down on Lang Linger's body. Right? So Long Aotian said in a deep voice, there are still enough materials. Unless it is absolutely necessary, there is no need to use Lin Yinyan's old body. I will make a body more suitable for adults as soon as possible. Hearing this, Situguan then nodded. In that case, I will leave first. His face darkened. If I can't touch Lang Qiqiu, and I can't touch my own people? Yuan Yuo also snorted coldly. I am the same. I must let these descendants know who is the real master of the family. After saying that, the three figures disappeared from here, and the mysterious secret room returned to its original tranquility. Chapter 432, Want me to become a hero? At night, within the three major families, the miserable screams of the clan members resounded throughout the night sky. In one night, the three elders slaughtered all the tribesmen who betrayed them. Long Tianyun, City Yun and the eldest son of the Yu family were all killed. The three of them never dreamed that there would be so many people betraying them. But after doing all this, they can focus on the experiments on anti-demon weapons. The family traitors have been eliminated, and even if the remaining people have rebellious intentions, they will be frightened by the massacre that night and will never have the idea of resisting them again. As for Lang Qiqiu and the Gu family, oh, when the Lord God comes, you will all die. The next day, inside the leader's office in the Alliance building, after listening to his subordinates' reports, Lang Qiqiu couldn't help but frown slightly. What's going on? Half of the members of the three major families were wiped out last night. It was the ancestors of the three major families who did it. This Isis, they're really a traitor? But how did Guyan do it and win over so many people? In addition to Shangguan Maiyin, Biao Yan, who had not been seen for a long time, also came to report the situation this time. With her natural ability to charm others, she has become very successful in the spirit organization. This time she came here to deliver an important message. She looked at Lang Qiqiu, whom she hadn't seen for a long time, and was very excited in her heart, but on the surface she was very serious. Master, you don't know. This time, the people who died from the three major families were not only ordinary members. Even the family's patriarch and eldest son were all killed. Among them is Long Yanyan, the head of the Long family. He is also on the list of people to be killed. Long Tianyun? Was he killed too? Lang Qiqiu's expression changed. Something was wrong. Long Tianyun was killed, which means that he was a traitor. But the reason he became a traitor was because of the Gu family. Could it be that Long Tianyun also reached some kind of deal with Guyan? If this is true, then the experiment on any demon weapons, wouldn't Guyan also know about it? Something is wrong. Something is very wrong. If Long Tianyun had not died, Lang Qiqiu would not have thought of this. But Long Tianyun died. Lang Qiqiu had a bad feeling. Guyan hasn't appeared for a long time. If Long Tianyun's betrayal is really related to Guyan, then she definitely didn't believe that Guyan didn't know about any magic weapons. Plus the opponent's tactics. Lang Qiqiu's heart sank. Who is the mastermind behind this magic weapon experiment? Is it the three major families, or Guyan? Suddenly, Ling Qingqiu seemed to have thought of something. She raised her head and asked Shangguan Mayayan, who was standing aside. Where did you put the evidence of the 3 major families that you collected earlier? Shangguan Mayayan was stunned. She replied hesitantly. It's Lun Yanyan's office. As soon as these words came out, Ling Qingqiu already had some guesses in her mind. And she clenched her fists tightly. She said it was so strange. Why was it so easy to obtain evidence of the 3 major families colluding with other families to obtain anti-demon weapons? Now that Long Qianyan is dead, combined with the Gu family, plus she knows Gu Yan's true face. The truth is about to come out. Gu Yan is pushing these things forward step by step. Ling Qingqiu took a deep breath and said in a deep voice. You guys go down first. Can? Yes. Shangguan Mayayan wanted to say something but stopped herself, but still dragged Biao Yan, who was reluctant to leave, out of the room. But Ling Qingqiu's heart could not calm down. If we say that the driving force behind this is Gu Yan, then he should know that the Long family wanted to take action against Ling Xingyan's family. But he knew it, but didn't stop it. Not even the information was passed on to her. She easily obtained the evidence of the 3 major families' crimes. But the information that Ling Xingyan's family was going to be attacked was not passed on to her. Why is this? Ling Qingqiu's heart was filled with ripples. As she thought about it, she suddenly understood the purpose of Gu Yan's action. The evidence in hand gave her a reasonable reason to take action against the 3 major families. The murder of Ling Xingyan's family made her hate the 3 major families even more. So what's next? Next step. Ling Qingqiu's expression changed. And the next step, if her guess was correct. Next, there will probably be a situation that will make her take action without hesitation. Step by step, Ling Qingqiu felt as if she had entered the script that Gu Yan had written for her. Every step was carried out according to the script written by Gu Yan. Why? Why did he let Ling Xingyan's family die without helping them? At this time, it seemed as if he had heard Ling Qingqiu's thoughts. Xiaoling, who hadn't been seen for a long time, jumped out. Another me, you still haven't noticed it? Xiaoling? Ling Qingqiu was stunned ever since she met Gu Yan that day, and Gu Yan said some strange words and left. I never heard Xiaoling's voice again. The most important thing is that Xiaoling seems to know some hidden secrets. Don't be so surprised, the other me, I've always been here. What do you mean by noticed? Xiaoling, do you really know something? Why on earth did Gu Yan do this? Ling Qingqiu asked hurriedly. She was afraid that if she didn't ask this time, Xiaoling would appear again at some point. I cannot reveal too much about my other self, as it will affect Gu Yan's plan. Plan? Ling Qingqiu's face changed. Xiaoling really knew Gu Yan's plan. Yes, you just need to know that what Gu Yan wants to do now is to make you become a hero of mankind. Humanity's hero? Ling Qingqiu was stunned. A hero of mankind. What's this? Have you not discovered that from the time you entered the warrior division, becoming the head of the sword division, and now becoming the leader of the alliance? All of this is pushing you to become a hero of mankind. After this, the 3 major families and those families involved in the anti-demon weapon will all be wiped out by you. And their evidence of crime will be publicly posted online. Everyone will applaud you. As you take this step by step, you will gain countless prestige on the path arranged by Gu Yan. Buzz. Following Xiaoling's reminder, Ling Qingqiu's mind suddenly went blank. It seems it is indeed the case. His dagger was taken away and he lost his power. So he listened to Xiaoling and cultivated his mental strength. Then joined the department. Then, as I took step by step, I seemed to have gained a lot of prestige invisibly. But it turns out that all this was arranged by Gu Yan. Monsters in the city, monsters that destroyed the alliance. Gu Yan's intention was just to help her gain prestige. To become a hero? But during this period are so many people necessarily sacrificed. Just as he thought of this, Xiaoling's next words made Ling Qingqiu tremble in his heart. But this is not enough. Still not enough? Yes, the strength is not enough. You need something more important to become a true hero. This thing is killing the Night King. After this, you will get the answer you want. As soon as these words came out, Ling Qingqiu stood up suddenly. Her expression was frozen, and a flurry of emotions surged in her heart. Kill the Night King? Isn't the Night King Gu Yan? Should I kill him and become a hero? What a joke. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Another me. Do you think this is something you can solve without having to do anything? Gu Yan will definitely ask you to kill him, and you will definitely have to kill him at that time. As the words fell, Ling Qingqiu's expression was also stunned. I have to kill Gu Yan. How could such a thing happen? Chapter 433 Warrior Industry. Go to another city for fun. Time passes slowly. A week later, the warrior industry emerged. Warrior shops. Warrior restaurants, warrior vending machines, etc. all appeared on the streets. The commercial streets have been completely transformed. All the ordinary shops and restaurants on weekdays have been replaced by warrior specialty stores and warrior restaurants. Of course, the dining area inside is divided into warrior area and public area. You can choose any of these two areas, but the prices and effects of the items are different. And behind all this, there is the push of the Gu family. Some time has passed since the monster invasion of the headquarters area. The city began to be rebuilt, but it was different from before. Everyone has remembered this painful lesson: monsters. The Night King are the greatest enemies of mankind. At some point a rumor started circulating on the internet that the Night King was the mastermind behind the monsters that attacked the headquarters area. It doesn't matter whether it's a rumor or not. The death of relatives and friends turned into motivation to become stronger. More and more people joined the alliance and became warriors. They have to become stronger, and then eliminate all the monsters in the Night King. The Warrior Forum began to communicate and share training experiences. Shared a series of information about the Night King and monsters. Short video platforms have also given rise to all aspects of martial arts. Among them, the most talked about thing recently is naturally the rising warrior industry. Warrior Alliance headquarters inside the training ground. Brush, brush. Lenglinger waved the sword in her hand with a serious expression. Ever since the death of Leng Xing'an's family, Lenglinger has not been in a very good mood. But with the guidance of her friends, she gradually came out of the sad atmosphere. My sister said it was an accident. Lenglinger could only pray in silence for Leng Xing'an's family, hoping that her uncle and his family could be reunited in the next life. At this time, Lin Yinyan stood at the bottom of the training ground and waved to Lenglinger. Sister Linger, come and see. Yin Yin, why are you here? Lenglinger's serious expression changed. And with the flashing of a golden dragon, she jumped onto the training platform. Then he reached out his hand and rubbed the other person's head vigorously with a smile. Didn't you say you wanted to go back to the Zhang Hai branch? Sister Linger, haven't I finished my work? Oh, let's not talk about that, look at this. As she spoke, Lenglinger raised her phone and played the video content on it. She smiled and said, Sister Linger, the long vacation is coming soon. Should we go to another city to play? Another city? Lenglinger leaned over to take a look. Just see. In the picture. This is a commercial complex in another city shot by a new video blogger. Everyone please look, this is the largest commercial complex newly invested and constructed in Linhai City. The blogger standing on the viewing platform pointed his finger downwards. And the camera changed accordingly. The buildings below were shining brightly, gleaming with modern light. The towering main building, the spacious and bright shopping mall, the luxurious 5-star hotel and a series of entertainment facilities are all in sight. The blogger continued, the shopping mall covers an area square meters and brings together top global brands to meet the various needs of consumers. But there's more to it than that. The warrior industry has been all the rage around the world lately. And here, all the latest warrior products are gathered. Have you ever seen spiritual food that can increase your cultivation level after eating it? Have you ever seen an artificial spirit pet that can be purchased? Have you ever seen a training gym specifically for warriors? Here, it has everything. Come to Linhai City Commercial Complex soon. The address is as follows, XXXXXX. The video ends. Lenglinger's eyes flickered as she looked at him. The world has changed so much, hasn't it? How about Sister Linger? The holidays are coming up in a few days, shall we go out and play? Lin Yinyan raised her head and asked expectantly. Lenglinger nodded without hesitation and said, go. However, I still have to call a few people, like Quan Lanya, Yun Xing, Ning Qian, and some new sisters and friends. Lin Yinyan had a temporary short circuit. Inside the anti-demon weapons laboratory, two figures stood in front of a container. This is the deepest laboratory, and only a few people can enter. However, if there was someone here who knew the other person, he would be very shocked. Because the people here are none other than Gu Yan and Lao Gao. They were standing in front of a large container with a strange, twisted creature inside. This creature looked like it was made up of many different creatures. It had a metallic shell and eyes that flashed a dark light. Its entire body kept twisting as if it was struggling. The lights in the lab cast shadows on the creature, making it look even more terrifying. This is an anti-demon weapon artificially cultivated by Guyan using monster factors, claw cells, and the power of night. It combines the abilities of many monsters. At present, the entire anti-demon weapon experiment has been taken over by him. It has to be said that after looking at some data from anti-demon weapon experiments, he also has to admire the imagination and delusions of this group of people. Because human life is short after all. So they came up with the idea of combining monsters and humans to create new humans that could raise their own upper limits. However, this experiment has been carried out for so many years. And the only successful case is Lin Yin Yin. The rest of the people will become irrational monsters that are neither human nor ghost. At this time, Brush. Sir, Miss Linger has agreed to go to Linhei City. A black-robed figure appeared beside Gu Yan and handed him Lin Yin Yin's control device. Gu Yan nodded slightly, and said calmly, "Is Linhei City ready? Master, everything has been arranged. We just need to wait until Miss Linger enters the commercial complex. And the anti-demon weapons will be deployed directly." Hear this. Gu Yan opened his eyes, which were different from the pair of eyes with symbols that Ling Qiyu had when he became the Night King. His eyes were filled with disordered lines when he looked at the strange creature in the container. The latter's gaze froze, and then revealed an extremely horrified feeling. It stopped, struggling. Gu Yan closed his eyes and said calmly, "Throw this one over as well. But this is only at the Grand Master level. Miss Linger." "No problem." Gu Yan interrupted, "Ling Qiyu will go." Lao Gao suddenly understood what he said, and he replied, "Okay, young master. It seems that the young master has made all the arrangements." The other side. Alliance headquarters. "Master, Miss Linger is going to the commercial complex in Linhei City. That is the warrior industry that the Gu family has recently invested in." Shangguan Maiyan respectfully reported Leng Linger's situation. After listening, Ling Qiyu frowned. "Linhei City. Commercial complex. By the way, after that are the Alliance's statutory holidays. Except for the relevant on-duty personnel, everyone has the right to enjoy the holidays." Calculating the date, Linger was on holiday at that time. According to Linger's previous personality, it was indeed very normal for her to want to go out and play. However, there are 3 major families secretly eyeing them. This time Linger is going to another city. It would be terrible if she is discovered by the 3 major families and targeted. But he also didn't want to suppress Linger's childlike nature. In addition, Linger has a mental defense she set up. Once in danger, he will automatically open his mental barrier, which is powerful enough to withstand a Grand Master. And I will feel it immediately. Even if there is danger, you can just rush there immediately. After Ling Qiyu thought for a moment, he nodded in agreement. "Let her go." "But master, it's a rare holiday, so let Linger have a good time." Chapter 434. Breakthrough to the later stage. God is coming. Long family compound. Ever since the 3 major family businesses were all acquired by the Gu family, many changes have also taken place in the daily lives of the 3 major families. First of all, Long Aotian found that the quality of his food and service had declined a lot. There was a massive purge of the family, and some members of the family fled the city overnight out of fear. After the servants left, Long Aotian's quality of life naturally declined. He lay on the recliner with a grim look on his face. As a Grand Master, he could actually go without food for decades. But this feeling of frustration inside. But it always exists. "Gu Yan, Ling Qiyu. You two have caused my dignified Long family ancestor to fall to this state. When the Lord God comes, I will make sure you guys pay." At this time, grown-ups. Shadow arrived, holding a plate of food in his hands. The food was exquisite and tempting, and it exuded a scent that made one's inner energy surge. Long Aotian snorted coldly. "Is this the spiritual food made by the Gu family?" Shadow placed it on the table and said respectfully, "Yes, sir, I have tested it and it can indeed increase your true energy a little bit. The lower your cultivation level, the more significant the effect." "Is it really that magical?" There was a hint of doubt in Long Aotian's eyes. And he took a sip. As the spiritual food entered his mouth, a faint feeling emerged in his heart. "This is..." Long Aotian's eyes changed. Although it was very slight, he did improve his cultivation a little bit. What means did the Gu family have to be able to create something so revolutionary? And it's aimed at the general public? Such good stuff can actually be sold to ordinary people to eat? It's a complete waste of natural resources. If they did it, they must keep it firmly in their hands. How could it be sold to the public? Oh, after all, they are just a group of businessmen polluted by the atmosphere of the secular world, blinded by money. While thinking, Long Aotian finished eating all the spiritual food. Seeing this scene, a strange look appeared in Shadow's eyes. He collected the garbage after the meal and said respectfully, "Sir, Ling Qinyu's sister Leng Linger has agreed to go to Linhei City at the beginning of next month." "Oh?" Long Aotian had just laid down after hearing this. He became interested. A sinister smile appeared on his face. "In that case, then in Linhei City let Lin Yin Yin bring Ling Linger back." "Yes, sir, but there is one more question." "What's the problem?" "Ling Qiyu has set up a spiritual perception on Ling Linger. If Leng Linger is in danger, Ling Qiyu will rush over immediately." After hearing this, Long Aotian frowned. "Tsk, come to think of it, Ling Qingqiu had already noticed the death of Ling Xingyan's family. It makes sense to set up defensive measures. If we take Ling Linger away directly, there will definitely be accidents. Are we going to miss this opportunity? Long Aotin was very unwilling in his hear the already knew Ling Linger's talent and she was definitely stronger than him. That's why he was worried that once the god descended, he would take a fancy to Ling Linger, thus affecting his status. But if she were to take action and be noticed, then Lin Yinyan's body might be controlled by Ling Qingqiu. By then, the loss will outweigh the gain. Oh, never mind. Lord God, please consider that I have worked diligently for so many years and will not be reluctant to give me even a well-endowed body in the end. It won't be too late to take action against Ling Linger after the Lord God successfully descends. Think of this. Long Aotin said, Ling Qingqiu is indeed a problem, so don't conflict with her for the time being. How about this? The action against Ling Linger will be temporarily suspended. Now you just need to fully complete the experiment of the anti-demon weapon. You saw the test subjects by the end of the month at the latest. And report the final results to me. Yes. Swish, after the shadow left. Long Aotin lay down again. It must be said that the spiritual food prepared by the Gu family tastes really good. They heard that there are also some artificially cultivated harmless spiritual pets. Oh, by then all of this will belong to me. Holy, what Long Aotin doesn't know is, as he ate the spiritual food, in his whole body, blood, and even brain, there are countless claw cells wandering around all of them. Inside the laboratory, a powerful aura that could not be transmitted to the outside world continued to emanate from Guyan. Moreover, as time goes by, the growth rate of this aura is getting faster and faster. Guyan felt the power in his body, his expression unchanged. As if he had expected such a situation. 3 Grandmasters cultivation? It allowed me to enter the post-grade realm in one go. Not only that, as people around the world eat his spiritual food, use his equipment, and touch his spiritual pet, invisibly, the cultivation of these people also benefited Guyan. This is another form of existence of abyss annihilation technique. As time goes by, the industry becomes more sophisticated and spreads all over the world. Then his cultivation will become higher and higher. Not to mention the future, just now, his cultivation is gradually improving. Soon he broke through to the last 3 levels. Guyan believed that by the end of the month, the industry would be spread all over the world. He should break through to the peak of the late stage. It can be said that Guyan is now mobilizing the power of people all over the world to improve his own cultivation. But that's not enough. Late grade, earth grade, heaven grade, immortal grade and divine grade. If you want to kill the god head on, you must at least get a divine item. But from the current perspective, he will soon be able to kill the gods and absorb their power through another means. In that case his cultivation will surge again. He thought about the message the undercover agent had just sent. By the end of the month at the latest, all the experimental subjects will be used up. After reading these 2 messages, Guyan already understood what they wanted to do. Use up all the experimental subjects before Ling Linger goes out to play. Is this the beginning of a divine descent? The first thing a god does when descending is to strengthen his physical body. This is when the god is at his most vulnerable and his power is at its weakest. This is the best time for Guyan to take action. Think of this. Guyan raised his hand slightly, and a black sword appeared in his hand. He raised his hand and held the other person idly without changing his expression. Next month. This was the first time in this life that he fought against gods. When the time comes it will all depend on you. Chapter 435. The action begins. Is everything in your plan? Time passes slowly. Early next month. The warrior shop is selling a new type of spirit pet. It's so cute and cuddly, come and take a look. Warrior roast chicken. Delicious and inexpensive, 500 yuan for half a chicken. Eating it will improve your cultivation. Gu's products must be top quality. Come and buy them. In the largest commercial complex in Linhai City, the neighboring city of Zhangye City, a conspicuous team attracted everyone's attention. Why conspicuous? Because this team is composed of a group of young and beautiful girls of various kinds. Sandwiched in the middle is a lively woman with a small golden hair swinging. The other person was surrounded by girls with outstanding temperament. This group of people are exactly Ling Linger's sisters. Dahu, it's finally vacation time. Training all the time is really tiring. Ling Linger looked at the newly renovated commercial street with excitement. She sniffed the air and her eyes suddenly lit up. This is a delicacy I have never tasted before. And the local customs and practices are really different from those in Zhangye. Sister Linger, it's a rare holiday. Why did you call so many people out? Bei Quang Lan hugged Ling Linger's arm resentfully. She was still very excited when she learned that Sister Linger invited her to visit the surrounding cities. But the result? She looked at Ningqian on Linglinger's left and the meteorite behind her. And then there are the beautiful girls around like guards. This. What is going on? Is it necessary for so many people to come out to play? Linglinger looked as if she didn't understand and said with a smile. Quan Lan, it's more fun when there are more people around. Besides, weren't you worried about your brother's news and therefore very depressed? Shouldn't I bring some more people with you to relax? Upon hearing this, Bei Quan Lan blushed. Who is worried about my brother? He must be on a mission, so he hasn't come back yet. Anyway, Sister Linger, let's go take a look around. It's said that this place was built with funds from your brother-in-law. It would have been fine if she hadn't mentioned it. As soon as she mentioned her brother-in-law, Linglinger stamped her feet angrily. I don't know how busy this stinky brother-in-law is. He didn't even come to my sister's birthday. What a bastard. Quan Lan, don't mention this stinky man today, let us have fun as girls. It's such a pity for Yin Yin, she was the one who recommended us to come here. But something happened and she couldn't come. Yes. Let's buy some local specialties. Doesn't Yin Yin love candy the most? Hey, speaking of this, Yin Yin always ate the candies that your brother-in-law gave her. Linger, the two of them wouldn't. Hey, stop talking nonsense. My brother-in-law and my sister are pure love parties. After the noisy chatter, a group of people held hands and lined up in a row, occupying a road, and then slowly entered the commercial street. Everyone who saw it was stunned. No, who are these beautiful girls? And this isn't it blocking the road when they are lined up horizontally? Dark place. Several black-robed figures were lurking there. One of them was Lao Gao. The black-robed figures around him were of different shapes and sizes, and the aura of one of them was extremely terrifying and creepy. As if he had seen one of Linglinger's sisters, the figure looked extremely manic. Quiet. Wait until the young master notifies you before it's your turn to appear on stage. Lao Zhao spoke in a calm tone, and the black-robed figures immediately became silent. Inside the anti-demon weapons laboratory, a man in a white coat was introducing the experimental results to the patriarchs of the three major families. My three lords, it is a pity that due to the lack of stronger monster factors, all the experiments have failed. The man in the white coat lowered his head, his face full of fear. What a waste. Long Aoti and snorted coldly, his expression extremely ugly. He looked around the laboratory and saw that all the containers were filled with failed experimental subjects. Damn it, they all failed. The ancestor of the Situ family, Situ Wan, shook his head and said, it doesn't matter. At least we still have Lin Yin Yin, the body that has been prepared long ago. Yu Wen Chuo, the elder of the Yu family, also nodded. He looked at Long Aote and then said, take Lin Yin Yin away immediately. They didn't say it directly. After all, there was an unrelated person nearby. Snort. It's the only way. Long Aote was unwilling, but still sighed helplessly. Lin Yin Yin stood aside with empty eyes. A control device was implanted into her when she was created. Now, her consciousness has been blocked in the deepest part. Long Aote looked around the laboratory and finally pointed at the man in the white coat. You, take Lin Yin Yin and follow us. After all, he is a core member of the anti-magic weapon team, and he can provide answers to any problems with the body in the first time. Now is the critical moment of the descent of the gods, and we must not let anything slip. If there is no problem, then kill him. In short, the affairs of the Lord God must never be known to a fourth person. Yes. The man lowered his head quickly. However, from an angle unknown to the three people, his originally fearful expression gradually turned cold and weird. At the same time, an instruction is sent out. It's time to act. As they left, all the anti-demon weapons in the laboratory container, also because the teleportation arrays that had been prepared long ago were transferred away. Lao Gao, who was far away in Linhei City, received the order. He looked at the prosperous commercial complex that the Gu family had just invested in and built, and threw them around without hesitation. Bang! The monster ball drew several arcs in the air, and then expanded rapidly after landing, releasing a large amount of black mist. Roar! In the black fog, hideous monsters appeared one after another, and their roars resounded throughout the entire commercial complex. Monster! How come there is a monster here? Oh my god! Help me! Where's the warrior? Where did the warrior go? Panic spread quickly among the crowd. The pedestrians who were caught off guard screamed in fear and fled in all directions, and the scene instantly became chaotic. Lao Kao turned around and said to the several anti-demon weapons at the Grand Master level or above beside him, move. These anti-demon weapons growled, their eyes flashing with irrational and murderous light. Bang! Without any hesitation, they quickly dispersed and headed towards various important areas of the commercial complex. As they moved, the alarm system inside the commercial complex was quickly triggered. Red alarm lights kept flashing, and shrill alarm sounds echoed in every corner. Many more people will die here next. But as the young master said, their death is not real death. Lao Kao withdrew his gaze and looked at everything in the distance, feeling an inexplicable sense of worry in his heart. The young master has already arranged all his subsequent plans in advance. This arrangement is like making arrangements for one's final affairs. I hope the young master is okay. At this time, Alliance headquarters. Inside the minister's office. BNGBANGBANG. Lang Qingqiu didn't practice today. Which was a rare occasion. He was hitting a small stress-relieving doll on her desk. This was given to her by Linger, who said that hitting this doll would be like hitting Guyan. It's not as good as Guyan's touch. Lang Qingqiu muttered and withdrew his hand. Guyan, this bastard, didn't come to my birthday party? And just slipped away after giving me the gifts. I don't know what he is doing now. She finally realized that Guyan was doing this on purpose, trying to take advantage of some stupid things she had done to make her hate him. But, if you want to do it thoroughly. Why didn't you stab me with the dagger before? And don't give me birthday presents. What's going on here? What effect can it have other than making me miss you more? Xiaoling actually said something that forced me to kill you. Are you kidding? How could I possibly kill Guyan? I like it too much. Lang Qingqiu seemed to have thought of the name Guyan had called her before. Sister Bo Bing. At that time, I only wanted revenge. So the thought my life is like walking on thin ice came to my mind. But Guyan's current behavior. When I find him again, I will definitely scold him harshly, calling him Brother Bo Bing. And just at this moment, Xiaoling's voice appeared in her mind. Another me, you are still so naive. Get ready, Guyan. Has already set the stage for you. Stage? Lang Qingqiu was slightly stunned. Next second. Bang! Changguan Maiyan walked in. Master, something bad has happened. Linhei City was attacked by monsters. Not only are there monsters but there are also anti-demon weapons. Their target is most likely Miss Linger. There is also evidence circulating on the internet that we found about the 3 major families and the smaller families colluding to conduct anti-demon weapon experiments. Anti-demon weapons? Monsters? Lang Qingqiu's expression changed. Combined with what Xiaoling said about the stage. Guyan, you did all this, why? Lang Qingqiu had no time to think. As Lang Linger's danger sensor had not yet sounded the alarm. This means that Lang Linger is not in danger for the time being. Guyan should also know that he is always paying attention to Lang Linger. These monsters can't hurt each other at all. So he did this on purpose. Just to get her to come forward? Considering what Xiaoling had revealed before. That Guyan wanted her to be a hero. For a moment, Lang Qingqiu clenched his fists. Kill the monster first, then destroy the family. Guyan, is all this part of your plan? Lang Qingqiu felt an inexplicable sense of depression in his heart. She knew Guyan's purpose, but she had to follow Guyan's rhythm. Because if she didn't act, Linger would definitely be hurt. And the 3 major families would continue to hurt the people around her. Guyan, why do you insist on making me a hero? Lang Qingqiu took a deep breath. Under Shangguan Maiyan's somewhat hesitant gaze, her expression gradually turned cold. And she said in a cold voice, immediately send people to block all families, companies, and even individuals related to anti-demon weapons. After that, she stood up and a space crack opened in front of her. I'm going to Linhei City. Buzz. Suihi Lang Qingqiu's figure disappeared. Shangguan Maiyan's expression gradually became happy. Yeah, she could finally take action against those families. Chapter 436, Descending Ceremony, God of Death. In front of a mysterious secret room. Shadow reported the latest situation to Long Aotian in a heavy tone. What? Long Aotian was furious. He stared at Shadow in disbelief. Are you saying that there are monsters and demon weapons appearing in Linhei City? And they launched an attack on Lang Linger and her group? Lang Qingqiu has already sent people to blockade all the major families. Who is it? Who told you to do this? Shadow lowered his head. I don't know. Damn it. Long Aotian looked at the man in the white coat again. His expression full of murderous intent. It's you? No, it's not me. It's really not me, sir. The man in the white coat stepped back in horror. And then, puff. The enraged Long Aotian pierced his chest with a palm. The man in the white coat tilted his head, fell to the ground and lost his life. Situ Guan snorted coldly. You are a piece of trash who was about to die. But you still created so much trouble for us before you died. Yuan Taiya shook his head. It's really hard to guard against traitors. Long Aotian looked grim, and said in a deep voice. Forget it, when the plan succeeds, all these problems will no longer be a problem. As long as the Lord God comes, with the power of God, these villains will be killed completely. Thinking of this, he looked at the shadow that had followed him for hundreds of years. and said slowly, "Shadow, you are responsible for guarding here. Even if you die, you cannot let anyone enter this secret room." Shadow lowered his head. "Yes. See this scene. Long Aot, Ian and the other two brought Lin Yinyan into the secret room." Boom! As the door of the secret room closed, a horrifying scene happened. Just see. The man in the white coat, who should have been dead, was now surrounded by a black fog. In less than a moment, Gu Yan, dressed in a black robe, stood there with his hands behind his back. He looked into the secret room with an indifferent expression. The descent of the gods has begun. In the secret room, the atmosphere suddenly became heavy, and the air seemed to become sticky. The ancestors of the Long family, the Sidhu family, and the Yu family surrounded Lin Yinyan, their eyes filled with awe and fear. Lin Yinyan's eyes were empty and lifeless. She stood in the middle of the secret room, looking extremely helpless. "Let's get started." The three of them looked at each other and began to chant a spell softly. The ancient runes in the magic circle began to flash a dim light. As the spell progressed, the rune's light became brighter and brighter, and the temperature in the secret room suddenly dropped, filling the air with a chill. The ancestor of the Long family spoke with a reverent tone. "The descent ceremony is irreversible today. The god of death will descend into Lin Yinyan's body and grant us supreme power." The ancestors of the Sidhu family and the Yu family nodded in tacit understanding. Their eyes were fixed on Lin Yinyan, and a trace of nervousness surged in their hearts. God is really coming. Time passes. As the ceremony progressed, the energy in the center of the formation gradually gathered, forming a powerful energy vortex. Boom! In the vortex, a huge shadow gradually appeared, carrying with it endless pressure and a mysterious aura. That is the shadow of the god of death, and his coming is inevitable. Finally coming to this world. A voice like the whisper of an ancient god boomed in the center of the secret room. Plop, plop. The ancestors of the three major families immediately knelt on the ground. "God of death, please descend into this perfect body and grant us supreme power." The three ancestors prayed devoutly. At this moment, the phantom in the vortex suddenly opened his eyes. Those were a pair of golden eyes as cold as the abyss, containing endless breath of death and power of destruction. The god of death glanced at everyone in the secret room, as if weighing their life and death, until he looked at Lin Yinyan. He snorted coldly, and the next second, Lin Yinyan's body was lifted up by an inexplicable force, causing her to float in the air involuntarily. Her eyes were empty and lifeless, and her whole body seemed to be controlled by a powerful force. The god has arrived and is now entering this body. This was also the first time that the ancestors of the three major families experienced such a thing. Everyone looked on in shock and fear, swallowing their saliva. God is coming. Next second, as the black shadow of the god of death completely merged into Lin Yinyan's body, her body suddenly twitched and twisted. Boom! The light in the secret room suddenly shone brightly, and a powerful breath of death swept through the entire space. As if it was going to swallow everything, Lin Yinyan's body began to emit a dark black light, and her aura increased rapidly, as if she had surpassed the limits of mortals. The ancestors of the three major families prostrated themselves on the ground, trembling. Finally, when the breathing gradually stabilized, Lin Yinyan's body also fell to the ground from Midra. However, at this moment, she was no longer Lin Yinyan. But God, I was suppressed so much, but it's enough. Her voice became low and cold, carrying an irresistible breath of death. "You three losers really picked a body for me that couldn't be worse." As soon as these words came out, the ancestors of the Long family, Sidhu family, and Yu family said in panic at the same time, "We welcome the coming of the great god. We have tried our best, but we can only find such a relatively perfect body." Get up, I don't count on you anyway. Long Aot Ian and the other two then stood up. And the former asked nervously, "My lord god, our family has been taken over by Ling King Qiu." The words haven't finished yet. Click. A crack appeared on Lin Yinyan's body. This scene made the expressions of the ancestors of the three major families freeze. The goddess of death frowned, looked at her body that suddenly had cracks, and felt something in her heart. It seems that the power of the gods is too strong, causing this body to be unable to support it. In that case, the god of death looked at the three people coldly and said in a cold voice, "I already know the desires of mortals. You must offer your soul and body to my power in order to get what you want." Soul, body? The expressions of Long Aot Ian and the other two suddenly changed before they could react. Boom! The bodies of the three began to emit dazzling black light. "Grown-ups, my lord god, please don't." The patriarchs of the three major families screamed continuously, and in just a moment they turned into three pools of blood and poured into Lin Yinyan's body. Buzz! In the blink of an eye, the body was repaired and the cultivation level was improved again. The god of death clenched his fist with a contemptuous smile. "Ah, A heavenly grade realm, this is the limit of this body. Never mind, it's more than enough to eliminate Ling Qiyu. However, just as the god of death thought of this, a chill suddenly arose in his heart. The god of death's expression changed. As if he sensed some fatal threat. Boom! A long sickle emitting a strong breath of death suddenly appeared in the hands of the god of death. He grasped the scythe without hesitation and quickly moved to the side to block. Blang! The deafening metallic collision sound was heard. And the entire secret room began to shake. The scythe of the god of death collided with a dagger that flashed with dazzling black light. Sparks flew, and energy fluctuations surged, as if to tear the entire space apart. Sizzle! The completely different forces clashed fiercely in the air. The gray light of the scythe of death and the black light of the dagger intertwined, making a harsh friction sound. This also allowed the god of death to see who the other party was. He smiled grimly, looking at the human. Are you here to die? Guyan was dressed in a black robe, with the sticky power of night surging behind him, and thick fog in the form of skeletons emerging from behind him. He clenched the dagger tightly, his expression calm, and said inferently, I am here to kill you. Chapter 437 Fighting Death. Kill me? A god of death seemed to have heard something very interesting, and a sarcastic smile appeared on his face. Although he was afraid of the power of the dagger. But it also depends on who is using it. He held the scythe tightly, holding the dagger so that it could not penetrate him even a little bit. Then, he looked at Guyan with contempt. Who gave you the courage to face me? Just based on your just entering the realm of the earth level? The god of death sneered. Bang! A long sickle suddenly exerted force accompanied by a breath of death. Guyan's expression remained unchanged. Swipe! His figure turned into a black lightning and instantly flashed aside. The sickle hit the place where Guyan was just now, creating a crack in space, and the crack could not be restored. And it seemed that there was some corruption in it. The god of death did not continue to attack, but wanted to enjoy the thrill of hunting. It has been so many years, and he has been in that space for who knows how long. Over the long years, the desire for killing in his heart grew stronger and stronger. Now that he can come to the world through the descent ceremony, he must enjoy it. Although he is currently in a suppressed state and has only reached the heavenly level. But it is not something that a mortal like Guyan, who has just entered the earth level, can compete with. Brush. The god of death pointed his sickle at Guyan and said arrogantly, Mortal, I know the fate of you and Ling Qiyu if you put down the dagger and join us to become a slave of the heavenly Tao. And kill Ling Qiyu. So, as soon as the words fell, a sense of danger appeared in the heart of the god of death. Bang! The figure of Guyan in front of him disappeared instantly, turned into a black lightning, and once again grasped the dagger and attacked the god of death. Mortal, you are seeking death. The god of death's face darkened. He grasped his scythe and swung it forward fiercely, bringing with it a chilling breath of death. Bang, 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 boom, boom, boom. The dagger and sickle collided rapidly. Every collision was accompanied by a violent explosion of energy. The stone walls collapsed and turned into black ash, and the ground cracked and shattered. The secret room could no longer withstand this level of fighting and began to collapse. Guyan quickly dodged and swung the dagger, drawing a black arc, pointing directly at the throat of the god of death. Every move of the two men was deadly, and they didn't hold back at all. Finally, boom! With a loud bang, the entire secret room collapsed completely, and the two figures rushed out of the secret room and came to the outside world. What froze the god of death's expression was, outside, it should be a sunny day. At this moment, night has fallen. The sky is covered with dark clouds, and the area seems to be plunged into darkness. Guyan and the god of death confronted each other in Midra. The rampant energy fluctuations caused the earth to tremble and the storm swept in all directions. The latter had an unpleasant expression. He felt his own suppressed power and the opponent's power increased several times, and could not help but sneer. Night domain. This is a dagger-only territory that cannot be exited without killing the domain's owner. Mortal, I admit that you are indeed quite talented. You can actually use this method at the earth level. Guyan opened his eyes and looked calmly at Lin Yin's body in front of him. Above the other person's head, there was only a vague, wriggling lifeline. And before he took action, this line was not visible at all. He had already made up his mind. I see. The way to see the lifeline is just like this. Think of this. He retracted the dagger, and then, swish. A black crack appeared in front of him, and disillusionment was slowly pulled out of it by Guyan. The god of death looked at the new weapon in Guyan's hand with some surprise, and couldn't help but laugh. Why, the dagger is not my opponent. With just a weapon made by a mortal, why do you think you can deal with a god like me? The words fell. Plop, plop. A feeling of palpitations appeared in the heart of the god of death, and he immediately looked at Guyan with wide eyes. I saw that when the other party held the strange weapon in his hand, A whole person's aura is actually constantly rising. Low grade mid stage peak, earth grade late stage peak heaven grade? What? The god of death's expression changed. But he quickly reacted. He held the sickle and sneered. The Night King's unique ability, the breath concealment. Right? I was almost fooled by you. Isn't it a natural product? I'll know once I give it a try. Boom. As the god of death growled, the entire venue began to undergo tremendous changes. After reaching the heavenly grade, one can mobilize the power of heaven and earth to attack. The sky, the earth, the sea, the grass and the trees. Everything in this world will become a means of attack for the strong men of heavenly rank. In an instant, the wind blew violently, and the whole world seemed to respond to the call of the god of death. The ground began to crack, magma gushed out, and the earth seemed to be roaring. In the sky, there were thunder and lightning, and the storm was raging, as if the end of the world was coming. The god of death held up his scythe, and the aura of death around him became increasingly strong, as if it was going to swallow up the entire world. He stared at Guyan coldly, with a hint of a sinister smile on his face. Come on. Let me see your strength. Guyan's expression was grim. The power of night behind him became stronger and stronger. Black fog surged, and skeleton-shaped fog kept emerging from behind him, as if they were evil spirits from hell. He clenched his hand and said calmly, "You will see." Before he finished speaking, Guyan's figure turned into a ball of black mist again and rushed straight towards the god of death. The NGBA. The two collided violently in the air, bursting into dazzling light. The scythe and dagger intertwined, and the breath of death and the power of night confronted each other fiercely in the air. Soundless giant black hands stretched out from the thick fog and attacked downwards. Every attack is mixed with the energy of heaven and earth, that can only be mobilized by strong people in the heavenly level realm. Bang! The god of death suddenly swung his scythe, and a grey blade of light slashed towards Guyan. Guyan quickly swung illusion, splitting the light blade in half, and black energy waves surged in the air. Immediately afterwards, the god of death retreated violently while resisting the giant black hand pressing down from the air. He was shocked. It's not bluffing, it's really a top-notch product. But how is it possible? How long has it been since I last saw this mortal? How could he become a celestial being? What's on your mind? Suddenly, a cold voice appeared in the ears of the god of death. His eyes changed, and he saw Guyan suddenly appear behind his retreat path. And the illusion in his hand had been replaced by a dagger. When? He didn't even notice any breath at all. Oh, he had mastered the power of the night and could conceal his breath at will. Damn Night King. No, I can't be stabbed by a dagger. The night power of the dagger goes straight to the soul. If it hits this body, his original body far away in space will also be affected. Thinking of this, the face of the god of death became extremely ugly. Originally, he was not planning to use the power of God. But now it seems, I have to use all my strength. Next second. Boom. With a loud bang, the power of Guyan and the god of death collided violently in the air, erupting unimaginable energy fluctuations. The earth turned into black ash. The dark clouds in the sky grew thicker, and the storm grew more violent. However, the expected scene of the god of death being killed did not happen. Just see. Guyan's dagger was actually blocked by another sickle. The smoke dissipated, revealing the current appearance of the god of death. As Guyan perceived, a second sickle suddenly appeared behind Lin Yinyan's body, and her body began to undergo drastic changes. The originally small body was now expanding. Mortal, I indeed underestimated you. The eyes of the god of death flashed scarlet light, and his body began to swell and gradually became tall and huge, like a dark mountain. In front of the other person, Guyan was only as big as the other person's eyeball. For new arms unexpectedly grew out from behind him, each holding a long sickle that glowed gray. 6 arms waved at the same time, bringing with them a breath of death. Waves of wailing filled the air, as if telling of endless despair. Each sickle seemed to be able to split the space and carried the power to destroy the world. My name is Death. This is my divine form, and my true appearance. Death's deep voice revealed endless pressure. Feel despair. Mortal, you actually forced me to use my divine power on you. Even though this body can only support me using my divine power for 3 minutes. But killing you is more than enough to kill Lin Qingqiu later. Don't worry, I will end the battle soon. Having said this, he stretched out an arm from behind. He pointed at Guyan casually, as if he didn't care whether he could hit him or not. Die, mortal. There was endless arrogance of God in the golden eyes of death as he spoke. A fatal attack that was sure to hit Guyan rushed straight into his body, leaving him no time to dodge. No feeling, no pain. Guyan looked down and saw that his body was gradually turning into black ash and continued to dissipate. Is this divine power? Chapter 438, Beheading God, Devouring God. In a mysterious space, 7 figures surrounded a planet. The owner of one of the bodies closed his eyes, as if his main consciousness was not here. Whispering sounds came from the figures left around. It's been so long since the death came, why is there no movement at all? Death has wanted to leave this damn place for a long time. I guess he is enjoying himself in the real world now. Destiny, when will we be able to enter the real world? As soon as these words were spoken, 5 figures looked at the figure who was covering his left eye with his left hand and leaving his right eye open. He is like the star of divination, guiding the direction of life. Hearing this, Destiny smiled calmly. Don't worry, wait until the time is right, and you will be able to enter naturally. Until then, let us take a look at the fate of death. The fate of death? What do you mean? All beings were stunned whenever fate said this. It meant one thing. That is, death will die? How is it possible? The true form of death is here, how could he die? Destiny, please explain clearly. The group of beings looked grim, shocked and puzzled. The death god is obviously a dimensionality reduction attack on this world. How could he die? Even if the divine consciousness of the descending god was destroyed, how could it affect the entity in this phase? Destiny smiled slightly and shook his head. The secret cannot be revealed, you should just watch quietly. Linhei City. The commercial complex has been vandalized again. Fortunately, Ling Qiyu waved in time this time and there were no casualties. Sister, these monsters appeared out of nowhere. There's also a deformed monster with a very powerful aura among them. He seems to be a person. When attacking Quan Lan, he suddenly knelt on the ground in pain. Lang Linger gestured towards Ling Qiyu in panic. People? Ling Qiyu frowned. She had just dealt with all the monsters deployed in Linhei City. Unlike the previous attack on the headquarters, the monster's desire to attack was much weaker this time. Hearing what Lang Linger said, she had a bad premonition. Take me to see it. Came to the only remaining deformed monster. Bi Quan Lan and others had already gathered there. However, Bi Quan Lan's expression seemed somewhat flustered and helpless as she looked at the monster with its swollen and deformed body. Even though it's a monster, for some reason, she sensed a familiar feeling from him, especially since the monster attacked her before, but suddenly stopped. Leader. Lang Qiyu waved and everyone greeted him respectfully. She walked up to the only remaining deformed monster, which had a powerful aura and the strength of a grand master. If they go all out, the entire Linhei City will probably be destroyed. At the very least, everyone in the commercial complex will die. However, Lang Qiyu sensed a strange aura from the other party. She frowned. This was the breath of the power of night. The power of night was implanted in this monster, so it was able to break through to the Grand Master level. Besides, she didn't know if it was her illusion, but she actually felt an aura from the other person that was the same as Bai Quan Lan's. Could it be? Lang Qiyu already knew the truth in his heart. She sighed lightly, waved her hand and dismissed the rest of the irrelevant people, leaving only Bai Quan Lan and Lang Linger. Lang Qiyu walked to Bai Quan Lan's side, reached out and rubbed the other's head, and said softly, "Sorry." As soon as these words came out, the latter also seemed to understand something. When she saw the deformed monster in front of her, she couldn't hold it in anymore. She covered her mouth with her hands. Her eyes reddened. Is this my brother? Lang Linger's expression froze. Is this the White Army? Lang Qiyu was not sure whether Bai Chun was a monster created by Guyan. However, there is no doubt that the power of night exists in the other person's body. Even if it wasn't Guyan who did it, it must have something to do with the other party. Just as Xiaoling said, will Guyan force her to take action? A deal with the White Army. Does it mean that he can kill even his own friends? Speaking of this, Lang Qiyu sensed his surroundings and immediately discovered something strange. Linger, where's Yin Yin? Lang Qiyu looked at Lang Linger. She remembered Linger saying that it was Ling Yin Yin who wanted to come to this city. Lang Linger was also feeling sad. She comforted the crying Bai Quan Lan and shook her head. I don't know. Yin Yin suddenly said she couldn't come because of something. Not coming? Reminiscent of the White Army. Oops. Lang Qiyu's expression froze, and she immediately opened the crack and entered it. Linger, take your friends and stay in Linhei City first. It's safe here for now. Brush. Lang Qiyu had a heavy expression on her face as she traveled through space. If she guessed correctly, Lin Yin Yin was not in Zhanghe, nor in Linhei. Then it can only be in that place. Brush. Inside the anti-demon weapons laboratory, a crack opened and Lang Qiyu's figure appeared. However, not here? Lang Qiyu frowned. So where will it be? Sudden, Lang Qiyu was shocked. 3 major families. She immediately sensed the entire city, and finally detected an undisguised aura in a remote place. That is Guyan's breath. There seemed to be a strange aura in front of him. Similar to Lin Yin Yin's, but different. What is he doing? By the way, Lin Yin Mei has a silver core in his heart, which is the source of all his power. In other words, what is Gu Yan's goal? Thinking of this, swipe. Ling Qingqi's figure flashed and disappeared. This is the secret room. Beth looked at Gu Yan's ashes, which had turned into black ash, with contempt. This is the power of God. Mortal, it is an honor for you to be destroyed by my divine power. Death laughed wildly. However, the laughter did not last long. Because, under his slightly stunned gaze, you are here. What are you laughing at? The tiny mortal who should have been killed by him now appeared before him again. Impossible. How are you still alive? Death roared incredibly. He raised his scythe high and slashed towards Gu Yan again with endless pressure. Was it an accident? Was it a coincidence? Whatever, I'll kill him again. However, it was as if the tiny mortal in front of him suddenly possessed some kind of ability. His aura continued to rise. Boom. In a moment, it was divine item. Death was horrified. The heavenly grade skipped over the immortal grade and directly entered the divine grade. Are you kidding me? How is this possible? Gu Yan's expression was grim, and the power of night behind him condensed into a huge black sword, facing the attack of death. The two collided violently in the air, erupting with unprecedented power. Bang! With a loud bang, the power of Gu Yan and the god of death cancelled each other out, bursting into dazzling light. The whole world seemed to stop at this moment, with only two figures confronting each other in the air. Death looked grim. It was really a divine power. How could it be? You won't win, Gu Yan said coldly, the black sword flashing in his hand, and the power of night became stronger. Foolish mortals. Stupid mortals. Death could no longer understand the current situation, and he refused to accept the reality before him. You think you, a mere mortal, can kill a god? He swung his scythe again, carrying an endless breath of death, and headed straight for Gu Yan. However, Gu Yan did not retreat but advanced instead, and his aura became even stronger. The sword in his hand collided with the sickle, bursting out endless light. Boom! With a loud bang, a scene that made Death's eyes split open occurred. Snap! His natal sickle is broken? Black light spread out, as if doomsday was coming. Die! Gu Yan's voice was cold, and the power of night behind him became stronger and stronger. His whole body was wrapped in black mist, like a god of war from hell. Holding disillusionment in his hand, he rushed straight towards death. Impossible! Impossible! How could this mortal make breakthroughs one after another? No, I have to leave immediately. Death felt extremely humiliated and wanted to retreat immediately. But the opponent's attack was already in front of him, and he had no choice but to take it head on. But it doesn't matter. I don't know if this idiot thinks that he can only stay here and fight him to the death or what. What Gu Yan held in his hand was not a dagger, but a weapon forged by a mortal that he had never seen before. That's it. Then it's fine. Think of this. Death, regardless of anything, is about to leave this body. Puff. A sharp pain appeared in the depths of his soul. What? Death opened his eyes in shock and suddenly found that the illusion in Gu Yan's hand had turned into a dagger without him noticing. Mortal, you are looking for death. He stretched out his hand towards Gu Yan. But the scene around him changed. The originally broken venue gradually disappeared, and the surrounding scene gradually turned into the appearance of Mitra when he and Gu Yan just rushed out of the secret room. Puff! A mouthful of blood spurted out from the mouth of death. He came to his senses and looked at the surrounding scenes and the mortal so close to him in disbelief. In his hand, he held a dagger and stabbed it into the center of his forehead. Illusion. When Death coughs up blood and is shocked. Everything that just happened was just an illusion. Now, why? I am a powerful divine being. How could I be deceived by an illusion? How did the other party do it? No, I have to run. Thinking of this, he was about to escape from this body. But I found that I couldn't move. Click. A feeling of fear rose in his heart. Next second, a cold and indifferent voice echoed in his ears. God will be afraid too? Death raised his head and looked at the mortal with disordered eyes in front of him. For the first time, he felt a sense of fear. Mortal, what did you do? A dagger gradually pierced into Lin Yin's brow, and Gu Yan said inferently, I have already implanted countless controllable monster cells into this body. The same goes for the patriarchs of the three major families you devoured. Now you are committing suicide by taking possession of this body. The candy that Lin Yin has been eating is actually made from claw cells and the power of night. The original purpose was just to make Lin Yin go berserk, and then seize the opponent's silver core to directly eliminate the risk of being attacked by the monster factor in the future. But I didn't expect it to come in handy at this time. The claw cells cooperated with the heavenly rules of the power of night to force the consciousness of the god Death to remain, and also blocked the other party from escaping by using the power of God with the help of his body. And the rest. Gu Yan stared at the lifeline above Death's head. At this moment, he could see that lifeline clearly. It turns out that the way to see the lifeline of creatures stronger than yourself is so simple. All you need to do is deplete the opponent's mental strength. Once the opponent's mental strength weakens to the point where it is almost the same as yours, that is when you can see your lifeline. And the purpose of using illusion to make the other party fall into hallucination is exactly for this purpose. First, let the other party descend into Lin Yin's body, into which he had already implanted claw cells. Second, take advantage of the fact that the other party has just completed his spiritual descent of his consciousness is unstable. Third, use the ability of disillusionment, which contains the same origin as the Great Tao, and make the opponent fall into illusion, and wear down his mental strength. And the fourth, the time, the place and the people were all right. I had already prepared everything to kill a descending god. Looking at the lifeline above the other person's head, Gu Yan no longer hesitated. With the terrified face of death, he swung the dagger fiercely towards the lifeline. Just as he said before, as long as you can see the lifeline, even God he can kill him. Wait, no. Death looked terrified. It was the first time he felt true death. The next second, the lifeline was cut off by the dagger. The divine consciousness within Lin Yin's body dissipated instantly. However, this is not the end. The power of the dagger directly slashed towards the body of death. Because this lifeline is the lifeline of the god of death. Ignore identity, ignore distance, ignore space, and even ignore time. This is the function of the dagger knight. Once the lifeline is cut off, then this existence will be completely wiped out from the world in the true sense. Buff. In a mysterious space. One of the 7 figures surrounding the planet disappeared into a ball of black ash with a scream. Death, dead. Immediately following, a surge of divine power emanated from the black ash. This force penetrated into the planet in the blink of an eye. And no matter how the beings present tried to stop it, they were unable to do anything. This is Gu Yan. A heresy emerged from Gu Yan's sea of consciousness. He excitedly turned the pages of the book, and a ball of divine power was forcefully pulled over from an unknown place by him using the power of the heresy. He swallowed it up in one gulp. Boom! In an instant, a wing of death spread over the cult. Hey, it's the complete power of death. Gu Yan, you actually did it. You are such a talented person. It was right for me to follow you. Keep working hard. Let's kill those gods. On Gu Yan's side, his aura was also constantly rising as the evil scripture devoured the power of the gods. Boom! Instantly he made breakthroughs one after another, and reached the pinnacle of the immortal realm. Only one step away from entering the divine realm. Gu Yan has the memories of millions of reincarnations, so he knows exactly how to reach the divine level. This final step is to condense the Godhead. Do all this. Gu Yan raised his eyes and looked at Lin Yin, whose body was broken but consciousness had returned. The latter looked at Gu Yan in a trance during the time she was being controlled. She actually knew everything about the outside world. Only then did she realize that there were so many monster-like creatures in this world. More importantly, Gu Yan, who always gave me sweet candies. So Xiao Yanzi, your opponent is God. Lin Yin's breath was weak, but there was a hint of smile on her lips. Come on. Don't let Sister Kinqi you down. Bang! As she finished speaking, a silver core between her brows suddenly shattered. The power of the silver true key was about to be completely absorbed by Gu Yan. Immediately afterwards, a tentacle appeared, stored Lin Yin's soul, and took it to the monster-restricted area. Crush. Lin Yin's body gradually disappeared in front of him. Gu Yan's expression remained unchanged. He was no longer able to feel sad. The ashes of Lin Yin's death floated in front of him. Gu Yan reached out and grabbed a handful but then let go. He said calmly, "Go get some sleep, leader. When you wake up, everything will be over." A moment later, buzz. A crack appeared here. Lin Kinqi walked out. She looked around at the mess and for a moment, she froze in place. What's happening here? You're late. At this time, an indifferent voice that made her heart tremble came from behind her. Lin Kinqi turned his head quickly. Let us see. The familiar source of life stood behind her with his hands behind his back. Gu Yan. Lin Kinqi's tone was a little surprised, and she took a step forward. But he immediately sensed another breath. That was the silver true energy surrounding Gu Yan, belonging to Lin Yin. Did you notice that? Yes. This is the power of Lin Yin's perfect silver true key. Gu Yan spread his hands and said inferently, "So? You are late." Lin Kinqi's heart ached, but Gu Yan still killed Lin Yin. Why? Why do you do this? Aren't Lin Yin and Bijun your friends? Gu Yan? Lin Kinqi couldn't understand why Gu Yan would do such a thing in order to make her a hero. No reason, Lin Kinqi. It's for their own good. Gu Yan walked slowly towards Lin Kinqi, his face calm and his tone cold. Seeing that you still like me, I feel relieved. After all, this way, killing me will be effective. Feeling Gu Yan's breath approaching, Ling Qingshuayu stood there without moving. She clenched her fists and glared at him. For their own good? Would killing them be considered good for them? Gu Yan stopped in front of Ling Qingshuayu. He stretched out his hand, stroked Ling Qingshuayu's face and picked her up. He would never see Ling Qingshuayu's face again. And the same was true for the other party. However, Gu Yan could still sense from the wetness on his hands that the other person was crying. Ling Qingshuayu was indeed crying. She had already noticed it. Gu Yan will stop at nothing to achieve his goal. Next step. Who do you want to attack next? Is it linger? Ling Qingshuayu's voice was trembling as he walked down step by step. Gu Yan's purpose was to force her to not take action. And what other methods are there that would force her to kill the other person? Isn't it just linger? Gu Yan reached out his hand to wipe away the tears from Ling Qingshuayu's eyes, and said calmly, Ling Qingshuayu, you are very smart, so you want to kill me. Become stronger as soon as possible. Otherwise, everyone in the world will die. Enjoy the short break ahead. So on the world will be plunged into a catastrophe caused by the Night King. Next second, crush. When Ling Qingshuayu wanted to reach out and grab Gu Yan, the other party had already disappeared. She lowered her head and clenched her fists. At this moment, she just felt helpless and powerless. Bastard, 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 bastard. Gu Yan, why do we have to go this far? Chapter 439, Condensing Godhead. A week later, the three major families and other families that participated in the anti-demon weapon experiments were all eliminated by the sword-wielding department. All of their evidence of guilt was posted online on a large scale by enthusiastic people. People all over the world are outraged. The three major families are simply inhumane. The anti-demon weapon experiment is truly insane. Chief Leng is righteous and has finally cleaned up these world cancers. Alliance headquarters. Ling Qingshuayu returned to the office after finishing his work for the day. During this week, she demonstrated her iron-blooded approach and cleaned up all those involved in the anti-demon weapons and the elimination of the Leng family. In this way, her revenge has come to an end. When Ling Qingshuayu thought of this, he felt a sense of loss. It's like a long-cherished goal has suddenly been achieved, leaving a sense of emptiness. Original plan was to complete her revenge, then hide her identity and stay with Gu Yan for the rest of her life. However, the reality is that his revenge is largely dependent on Gu Yan. And Gu Yan was not with her. When they met that day, she sensed the powerful aura from Gu Yan that even made her feel heavy. She didn't understand what Gu Yan had done to achieve such breakthroughs. Also, the other party said that the world would fall into a catastrophe caused by the Night King. What is this great disaster? And it must be caused by the Night King. Ling Qingshuayu lay on the table, his thoughts in a mess. Does Gu Yan want to make him the enemy of the whole world? And then the ultimate goal is for her to kill the other person and make her a hero? This is also what Ling Qingshuayu didn't understand. Gu Yan, why do this? Don't we have no enemies anymore? And at this time, no enemies, another me. If there were no enemies, Gu Yan wouldn't do so many meaningless things. Xiao Ling? Ling Qingshuayu was stunned. What did this mean? She couldn't help but ask, are there still enemies in this world? Even if there are, can't they deal with it? It doesn't exist in this world, but it exists in the outer world. The other me, I didn't tell you for your own good. Just believe Gu Yan, and then at the right time kill him. He had planned everything long ago. If you don't want to kill, and you can give it a try and see if you can upgrade yourself to become a divine grade. Of course, I have to remind you that even a divine grade might not be enough. You need to surpass the divine level and reach the highest level in this world. Xiaoling, you really know everything. Ling Qingshuayu had actually noticed it a long time ago. Until yesterday when I found out that the evil book that should have been mine was in Gu Yan's hands. She was finally sure. In fact, Xiaoling had already reached some unspeakable agreement with Gu Yan. You should know this, but it is for your own good not to let you know. Xiaoling didn't make some of his words clear. Because of her identity, she was destined to be the one to do that in this life. Ling Qingshuayu already understood that no matter how he asked, Xiaoling would not answer the questions in his heart. But at least she knew something. If I could surpass the divine level, and maybe I could turn everything around. That's right. Ling Qingshuayu gradually became determined. As long as he could break through to the divine level, he would be able to bring Gu Yan back. It seemed that he felt what Ling Qingshuayu was thinking. Xiaoling sighed inwardly. The path Ling Qingshuayu was thinking of was also a dead end. This was because, in terms of time, there was simply not enough time for her to grow to a divine level. According to the prophecy of this life that I saw in the cult classics back then, it happened shortly after the arrival of the Night King and the Cataclysm. A greater disaster is also coming. Knock, knock. At this time, there was a knock on the door. Sir, someone who claims to be your sister has come to see you. Lane Kinkyu came back to his senses and slowly typed a question mark. Elder sister? Where did her sister come from? Lane Kinkyu frowned. Let her in. In the monster restricted area, a black figure was floating in the sky. It was Gu Yan. His black robe fluttered in the wind, and the power of night formed black vortices around him, as if to swallow up everything around him. Dark clouds rolled. Lightning exploded beside him, and the entire sky seemed to respond to his power. High in the sky in this restricted area, Gu Yan closed his eyes and felt the violent energy around him. He has been doing this for a whole week, for no other reason than to condense the godhood and step into the godly realm. However, the conditions for condensing godhood are harsh. Either you seize the divine power of others to condense it, or you condense it yourself through the faith in your heart. Brush. The evil scripture flew out of Gu Yan's body. He opened the book, spat out a grey crystal, and said helplessly, Gu Yan, I beg you, can you just condense yourself into the god of death? It's been so long, and you haven't succeeded yet. Besides, isn't this also a godhead? It doesn't matter which one you use to condense into a god, right? I have already cleared